oh, he's like, oh, oh, and we see this fucking giant Burmese python, chat, crawling up Indiana Jones's thick thighs, chat, wrapping around that thick white man meat. And he's like, there's a snake in the plane, Jacques. There's a snake in the plane. And Jacques like, oh, that's just my snake, Reggie. And he's like, I hate snakes, Jacques. I hate them. And then hello, I just wanted to thank you for clicking on my video, and I wanted to let you know not only do I create content on my YouTube channel here, Class in a Glass, but I'm also on Twitch where I play single-player games, multiplayer games. I do movie reviews, cartoon reviews, and a whole bunch of other stuff. Also, it would be a big help if you can check out my Patreon, where you can gain access to audio commentaries, reactions, and the ability to submit questions for my podcasts and videocasts. And all that content can be found in the links below. In the meantime, enjoy the video.
I don't know. I'm making this up as I go. Trust me.
But now, my friends, I want to go ahead and jump into this scene by scene breakdown, chat, to one of my absolute favorite films of all time. This is in my top 10 movies of all time, chat. Steven Spielberg's 1981 action-adventure classic, Raiders of the Lost Ark. I absolutely love this movie, chat. I want to go ahead and get into the nitty-gritty details with you, the behind-the-scenes, the inception of this movie, how it came to be, who was originally cast. We'll go into all the history, chat. There'll be some fun stuff. But first and foremost, chat, I got to ask you a very important question. That question being, how many of you have seen Raiders of the Lost Ark? Tell me, chat. Tell me. I've seen this movie countless times. So many times. It's so perfect. Me. Because yours? Ice friend? Oh, I grew up with it. Oscar says, yes, Hamilton Burger. I've seen most of it. You haven't seen all of it. You got to watch all of it, my friend. It's been around for, goddamn, at this point, 40 years. 40 fucking years, chap. Did I think what just had its 40th anniversary? Nuts. Hamilton Burger, I've seen most of it. Am Xavier, never seen it. Never seen it. Oh, my God. Damn, I grew up on Indiana Jones. Lost Miracle. Me. Axel, I have seen it tons of times. Deadpool snakes. Why'd it have to be snakes? Indeed. Cowboy Flop, I've seen it. Stranger Shoe, I've seen the bald... What is it? I've seen the bald-headed fight many times. The bald-headed fight. Sorry, baby. With the Übermensch, the super Nazi. I get you. Yeah, with the biplane, the plane. I have multiple times. Summer Baby, Ice Frame. I still see Indiana Jones' only trilogy. Can't convince me of that. I agree with you, man. It should just be a trilogy. It looks great in 4K, I'm sure. No, I have not seen one of the greatest movies ever made. Heavy sarcasm. Lol. LOL. Laugh out loud. Jacques. The plane, Jacques! The plane! We'll get to it, chat. Jason, I think it's stupid since Jessica Rabbit's character is a damsel type female character that is making fun of the tropes. And and then she's super competent, though. That's the joke. That's that's neither here nor there. No, we don't go and hide now. It's okay. No, we don't have to hide. I haven't seen any of the Indiana Jones movies. No, that's fine. That's fine. Then anything I say, you'll have to take as fact. I've seen the movie many times as Jason Batboy. I've watched Temple of Doom and Last Crusade more than any other indie film. Fair enough. Baby GTG. We'll talk about Temple of Doom and how I think that movie is beloved by a lot of younger fans. I think when you're a kid, you love Temple of Doom the most because they have a kid in there. It's the darkest one, but it's also like the most comedic, I think, as well. We'll talk about it. I used to argue that my friend at the time back in middle school about which movie was better than this. See, I'm telling you, Temple of Doom. Brownface. Well, Alfred Molina's. We'll talk about Alfred Molina because I'm like, what are you, Alfred Molina? We'll talk about, chap. He's America's James Bond, very much so. And who's fucking James Bond's dad? James Bond, which is nuts. Very nice. Oh, you were joking. I was like, whoa, that's fine. No, it's funny. No, that's very funny. I'm going to hide now. No, actually, I think that's cool that we have some people that haven't seen it or have only seen it once or something. Yeah, for myself, chat, of course, I've seen this. I've seen the trilogy many times over. I own these on VH. Actually, I think, chat, I have it. Hold on. Chat, there you go. Probably look weird because of the green screen, but there you go. Chat, I have the Indiana Jones VHSs. I own the Blu-rays and things, chat. Or at least I own the Blu-ray for Raiders. I got to get Temple of Doom and Last Crusade someday. Those are the ones I need. But I'm a huge fan of the series, chat. And I saw these at a very impressionable age. I talked about this on my own audio and video commentary for the film. Please do check that out. Thank you to Vanny for suggesting it, or for requesting it. I was able to do it. But I saw these around the same time, I want to say, as Star Wars. I think it was probably after I saw the original trilogy. And when they released them in '97, Chad, I saw those, and then I saw Indiana Jones on like the VHSs, and like renting them from Blockbuster, and eventually being given that collection like on my birthday. Also came with a VHS of one of the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles, one of those TV specials, which is like about 90 minutes. I think it was called Indiana Jones and the Peacock's Eye. Where he was going around the world trying to find this giant fucking gem. Look, a peacock's eye, Chad. Came with that one. But yeah, I was obsessed with these movies. I watched them all the time like many kids did. And it actually inspired me initially to be like, I'm going to be a fucking archaeologist. I'm going to go around the world. I'm going to discover shit. I'm going to uncover ancient temples and look for treasure. I'm going to have my own fucking hat. Not knowing that most archaeologists don't do that kind of shit. I'm like, wait a minute. And when I was doing my research, when I was, coming up and stuff like in middle school, and you're like, are you telling me I don't get a fucking hat and a bullet and a gun and I'm not fighting Nazis and cultists? Is that what you're saying? And they're like, yes. Shit, how much are they paid? Not well. Archaeologists do not make any fucking money, chat. I mean, you get tenure. What happens is you're an archaeologist, then you fucking teach, and you get tenure. You make a lot of the big bucks later on in life. But I want to live for the venture, and I was like, I was so disappointed. Oh, it crushed me, chat, but I never stopped loving these films. I love the original trilogy. For a long time, when I was like a little kid, Temple of Doom was my favorite. I think this is for a lot of kids because, as I said before, it's the most comedic, I think, of the original three. It's also the darkest, and it has a child in it. It has Short Round in it, who I stand by the fact that he is Indy's son. All right, Indiana Jones adopt him. The reason why we don't see him in Raiders and Last Crusade is because he's in boarding school. That's why. And he's fucking teaching and he's going around adventures and he's like, I can't endanger this kid again. So I understand it because Temple of Doom is a fucking prequel. But over time, I've gravitated more towards Raiders and Last Crusade. Those are definitely the superior films of the trilogy. I don't dislike Temple of Doom. It has problems. It's flawed. To various degrees. And maybe someday, Chad, I'll probably review it, do a spoiler review for it, and I'll go into those reasons why. Not going to spend the time now talking about it. But I have since gravitated towards more Raiders and Last Crusade. And again, Last Crusade's that's one of the rare exceptions, Chad, because you think of trilogies, oftentimes the third one is usually the weakest, or it's it's the mid. Maybe it's kind of like, it's not as good as the first one. Maybe it's better than the second one, but it's never like, thank you, Show, for using that Prime subscription. Welcome back, Show. Hearing that wonderful KOTOR theme. Hope you're doing very well, good sir. Thank you using your Prime subscription. You only get one of those a month, and the fact that you use it on my own channel means a lot to me. Thank you, Show. Thank you. But I think the third Indiana Jones, I think Last Crusade is excellent. People who think it's better, like, listen, if people say that that's their favorite one, I get it. It's really good. The dynamic between Harrison Ford and Sean Connery is fucking fantastic, Chad. It's a great movie. But I have to say, Raiders is still my favorite. It's in my top 10. It like the movie pitched itself as, it brought back the great adventure. Those adventure serials that Steven Spielberg and George Lucas watched from like the 30s and 40s, in movie theaters. Those are the films that really inspired Indiana Jones and James Bond as well. And so it's like, yeah, you could totally see it. That's in its DNA. And it did bring back the great adventure. Then you started to have a lot of Indiana Jones-esque films throughout the 80s and the 90s. I mean, The Mummy, chat. The Mummy is obviously Indiana Jones. Romancing the Stone is obviously inspired by Indiana Jones. All these things. Uncharted is Indiana Jones. Tomb Raider is Indiana Jones. It influenced so much media for over 40 years and still does to this day. The impact, this film is so culturally important. It's so important to American culture. Indiana Jones is an American fucking icon. He's one of our greatest fictional characters of all time. And he had a major impact on me. Kind of going to the history of the film. After Steven Spielberg had finished working on Close Encounters of the Third Kind, he was vacationing in Hawaii, and Lucas was also there at the time. Star Wars was just about to come out. He was very concerned about it. He thought it was going to flop. But, George Lucas and Steven Spielberg were very good friends, and George Lucas was asking him on a beach. They were just hanging out with their families. He said, what do you want to do next after you finish Close Encounters? And Spielberg was like, I always want to make a Bond movie. And George was like, I have a better idea. And he pitched him Indiana Jones, which he at first called Indiana Smith, chat. And they thought about this. They eventually brought in Lawrence Kasdan. Philip Kaufman also gets a story credit on this. And They finished writing the script in 1979, and then they just worked on getting everything together, and they would do principal photography in 80 with Steven Spielberg directing. Who they originally cast as Indiana Jones, chat, was not Harrison Ford. It was actually Magnum PI's Tom Selleck, chat, who was very, very popular at the time because of that TV series. And in like, this was, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks before they were about to start principal photography. The network got a hold. They found out that Tom Selleck was going to work on this movie, and because of how contracts were written back in the day, if you had an actor who was working on a TV series, they couldn't do film projects. And the studio got wind of this, and they said, "You can't fucking do this. He can't do this." And so he had to drop out of the picture. And then Harrison Ford was cast. Lucas originally didn't want to cast Harrison Ford because he thought everyone would just see him as Han Solo. But, they obviously didn't. Another thing, too, chat, the character of Sala, which is famously played by John Rhys-Davies, chat, which you've seen him in another great trilogy. And Witness! Witness me! Mauricio, thank you for the raid. Everybody on the dance floor, raid. Thank you so much, Mauricio. Welcome to stream. I hope you're doing very, very well today. Just talking about Raiders of the Lost Ark, getting into the nitty-gritty details, the history, the making of the movie before we do the scene-by-scene breakdown, my friend. But the person who was originally was cast was not John Rhys-Davies, who we've seen as Gimli. He's been involved in multiple projects. He's a working actor. The person who was initially cast was Danny DeVito. He was going to be Sala, Indiana Jones's friend in Egypt. And he had to drop out for the same exact reason that Henry Selick dropped out. And that was because he was working, he had a show called Taxi at the time, a very popular comedy. And he's like, the network got wind of that, and they said, "You can't fucking do this." And so he had to drop out of the picture. And so it would have been really interesting to see, like, Indiana Jones played by Tom Selleck or Sala played by Danny DeVito, like, how that movie looked. And then you see, like, Danny DeVito, like, in Romancing the Stone. Later on, because he said, "I never got the opportunity to do Indiana Jones, and I was one of the biggest fucking regrets of my life." It would have been so cool to have seen him in that movie. I would have loved it. Yeah, Tom Selleck. Yep, you have a problem on Magnum PI. No, I know that Tom Selleck was cast as Indiana Jones, but he was on Magnum PI, and that's the reason why. So that was the big thing. And the movie, when it was coming out, the studio, chat, Paramount Pictures, who distributed it, they were seeing that there was just kind of a lack of enthusiasm about the movie. And so George Lucas and Steven Spielberg and Lawrence Kasdan, they were thinking, like, well, we got to make the movie we wanted to make, but looks like there's not much audience interest. Well, who knows? The studio said they put out feelers, they had test audiences and stuff, and people were underwhelmed. Movie came out. It became the most commercially successful film of 1981. It was nominated for many Oscars, chat, including Best Picture, and Steven Spielberg for Best Director. It's often looked at as one of the greatest action-adventure movies of all time. I think when you think of the action-adventure genre, subgenre, chat, what do you want to call it? You have the action genre, and I think action-adventure is a subgenre. This is the poster child. This is literally, I think this is what literally comes to mind, chat. It's an incredibly important movie that spawned in another amazing franchise created by both Spielberg and Lucas. Thank you, Bill, for everybody. Lucas was on a different level. His use of music, Star Wars, Indy was perfect. And that's the other thing, too. Like, there's so many things to appreciate about this film. Not only, chat, like, Harrison Ford, who was already did Han Solo, one of the most iconic rogues of all time in cinema, in American cinema. The same, like, he also did Empire. Like, before he did Raiders, chat, he did A New Hope, he did Empire, did Raiders. I think after Raiders, it was either during or after he did. Well, no, because I think Blade Runner was 82. After Raiders, he did Blade Runner. Then he did Return of the Jedi in 1983. And then in 1984, he did Temple of Doom. That's a fucking incredible list of films. Like, back to back to back to back to back. That's amazing. Harrison Ford had defined, I think, genre films in the late 70s all the way into the early and mid 80s. And for quite some time since then. And yeah, of course, he's fantastic as the character in the trilogy, and especially in this movie. Yes, he's this academic, but he's also has this really dry sense of humor. He is a rogue, but he keeps his worst aspects in check. It's funny, when Lucas and Spielberg were writing this movie, And when Kasdan came in and wrote the script, and they were constructing the story, and Kasdan came in and did the script writing, they actually wanted to give Indiana Jones like a serious condition, like he was either a degenerate gambler or an alcoholic or a womanizer. They wanted to give him a specific weakness. But over time, they felt like they didn't want to do that. Like, he's a flawed character. He's not perfect. He's the kind of hero that gets the shit kicked out of him. He is injured often throughout the entire series, and especially in this movie. But yeah, they stayed away from that. And there's some other interesting aspects that Lucas wanted to add that Steven Spielberg said, no, no fucking way, which we'll talk about in a bit, chat. Some stuff that would have been extremely controversial. I mean, back then and before then and today would have been really interesting, chat. And they did give him the weakness. They gave him the weakness of snakes. That is true. That was his one thing. And of course, that the Jones family always has a weakness against something. Fucking Sean Connery's Henry Jones, weak against rats, hates rats, chat. But yeah, and of course, the movie went on. It had a budget of about $20 million. Had a box office of $389.9 million, chat. Spawned again, obviously sequels, video games, comic books, novels, theme park attractions, and we have a fifth film currently in production, chat, supposed to be released next year in 2022, chat. We'll see what that's going to be like. James Mangold is directing, which personally, I think that's better than having Steven Spielberg direct, because I think Steven Spielberg has lost a step. But now when he was directing this movie, Chad, this was Steven Spielberg, this was Lucas, this was Kasdan in their primes. And, you know, it's one of the many reasons why that I think this movie is as good as it is, because they were at their creative best, I think, during this time, especially in the 70s and 80s and 90s, particularly Spielberg and Kasdan, in my opinion. But chat, let's go ahead and get into the nitty-gritty details, chat. We open up on the old school 1940s, 1930s Paramount logo, chat. It was not the one that they were using in the late 70s and early to mid 80s, chat. No, Steven Spielberg and Lucas wanted, they were all about the details when it came to this film, all about the aesthetic details about this movie. They insisted on using the old school Paramount logo, and we see the Paramount logo and it fades away, chat. And we see a mountaintop in the jungles of South America, chat, in Peru. Somewhere in South America, chat, 1936. And we're following what seemingly is an expedition, chat, being led by a man in a fucking fedora, chat, walking through the jungle in his brown jacket. We don't see his face, though. We do not see his face. We have no idea what he's looking at, but we can tell that he is the leader of this expedition. And we have many disposable brown people, chat, following him. I mean, that's what they are. That's what they are. You know, like, they should have just been wearing red shirts, chat. That's all it should have been. And they're following him. We're like, we don't know where the fuck this guy's going. He seems to have a map. We see this figure, chat, this man in the brown fedora, take out a map that is like in 3 fucking pieces. They look like they've been moist. Looks like maybe they're covered in cum, jism, chat, maybe some bodily fluids. No. But he's looking at it and he's like, okay, I know where I'm going. And they continue on, Chad. They continue on. But some of these guys, Chad, as they pass by these trees, they notice these darts inside the tree, Chad. Indy, he looks at one, rubs it with his finger, and throws it on the ground. Throws this mysterious figure, throws it on the ground. Alfred Molina comes up and goes, Alfred Molina, Chad, the most ethnically mysterious man to ever live. Is he Spanish? Is he Mexican? Is he Peruvian? Is he Scottish? Is he English? Is he Irish? What are you, Alfred Molina? What are you, chat? We still to this day do not know what Alfred Molina is, chat. I don't care what Wikipedia says. It's a lie. We don't know. And he fucking tastes this shit going, poison. The natives are here. We're in a very dangerous area. We should not be here. But this one guy though, with his floppy hat, is like, I ain't fucking worried, man. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to get fucking paid. As they continue to walk on, chat, we see one of these people, one of the disposable brown people, chat, walk up to what seems to be some type of obelisk, some type of statue covered in vegetation. He sweeps away these vines, and it's a scary face, blah! And there's bats coming on him. He goes, oh! And he fucking runs away, chat. He fucking runs away, and he's like, yeah, whatever. It doesn't bother me. They continue walking, chat. They continue walking. And then the one guy with the floppy hat, he starts getting like a flop sweat. Why you gotta say it like that, though? Am I lying? Am I lying, chat? We have the one guy with the floppy hat. And he's walking, with Indy, but he starts sweating. Like there's something up with him. He seems to be like a little on edge, chat. And when Indy's like, he's looking around, he's trying to get a sense of his bearings, chat. This guy pulls out a fucking gun, cocks the gun, and this mysterious figure in the fedora, chat, he hears it. But before the guy can fucking raise the pistol and start talking, our intrepid hero, chat, pulls out a fucking bullwhip and goes, wah! And hits the gun out of his hand. He's like, ah, ah! And he fucking runs away, and now it's just Alfred Molina, who's like, I wasn't involved, man. I'm just here doing what I'm paid to do. And then this figure, Chad, this fedora, he steps from out of the shadows, Chad, and we see him, Chad, Indiana Jones, Dr. Jones, Chad, himself. And he's down 2 people, Chad, 2 disposable brown people. And he's like, God damn it. And so he goes deeper into the jungle with Alfred Molina, and they come to this massive temple structure with a big old hole, and they gotta walk in. And Alfred Molina at this point is like, listen, man, I'm a little concerned about this. No one who's gone in there's ever come out alive. And Indiana Jones is like, shut the fuck up, you're gonna be fine. And he's like, listen, I'm an ethically mysterious person. I probably won't have a good chance of making it out. He's like, don't worry about it, you're gonna be okay. Oh God, oh geez. He's kind of like the Morty chase, like the Morty of Indiana Jones. And so they go into this cave, chat. People say Temple of Doom is the most racist one ever, right? And so people, these two, they go into the cave, chat. They have these torches that they light up. And they fucking, flick the little lighter on there, get that, and they continue in there. Andy's like passing by like all this webbing, looks like spider webbing, chat, as he's moving forward. And eventually Alfred Molina, who's behind Indy, goes, Senor. And he's like, what? And we see that there's like several big fat tarantulas on his back, chat, like moving around. And he's just like, oh shit. And he just, he just pats his jack. Indy ain't scared of some goddamn spider shit. He doesn't fucking care. And he just bats these spiders off of him. But then we see another spider crawl over Alfred Molina's shoulder. He's like, oh, and he's like, turn around. And Alfred Molina, Chet, he turns around and his entire fucking back is covered with these giant spiders that are crawling all up and down him, Chet, crawling over his head, falling down his chest, going into his pants. It's not good. Now, fun fact about this film, Chet. So they had a spider wrangler on set because these were actually real spiders, chat. These are real spiders that they used. And when they put all the spiders on there, Spielberg was upset because they weren't moving. They were just like standing still. And Spielberg was talking to the spider wrangler and says, hey, I want the spiders to move on Alfred Molina. Why aren't they moving? And the guy goes, well, they're scared. And the only way I can actually get them to move is I put a female, because if I put a female on him, they'll all become horny and angry. And Spielberg's like, I want horny, angry tarantulas. Let's put the female on. And that's why they all start fucking moving suddenly on Alfred Molina checks. They put a female on there. But Indy, he brushes them all off. Alfred Molina's like, ah. He's all freaked out about it. And they continue deeper into the temple, chat. We see it, but we don't like when we first see this film, chat, we don't acknowledge it because it's kind of like not focused on, but we see the giant fucking boulder overhead, chat. Funny story about that boulder. We see that giant boulder overhead where they continue going deeper into the temple, chat. And they come to this weird room, this hallway, which has these like slots where the sun is coming in. And it's like, and Alfred Molina's like, oh, this is easy. Let's keep going. And Indy's like, stops him. He's like, no. Booby traps. And Indy puts his hand forward into one of the slots where the sun's coming from. And then these fucking spikes shoot out, chat. And we see a half decomposed man going, ah! And Alfred Molina's like, oh! He's all freaked out. And we see that this was one of Indy's fellow archaeologists, chat, one of his competitors. He looks at his credentials like, this is the guy, this is him. Jesus Christ, what a fucking horrible goddamn fate. But they continue on, chat. They continue on past all of the booby traps, and they come to the main room, chat. And it's this giant, this like atrium. It's this huge atrium, chat, and all the way at the other end, chat, it's like I didn't see what this was. They don't really say what it is in the movie. What's being depicted on the statue. It's like, oh, you find out later on, but it's a golden Peruvian fertility statue, chat, because it's this woman who's literally front pooping out a baby. That's what the statue is. But I was like, oh, it's a front poop out statue. Cool. But Indy's like, I want that lady who's front pooping out that kid. But I have to make it across the atrium. Alfred Molina's like, you think it's safe? He's like, watch. And we see like all these little compressions on the floor, and they're like covered in moss. And Indy takes his torch, which is already burnt out, and he presses one of them and goes, and a dart, a barbed dart, shoots out of the wall, chat, because the walls are like it's like this mural, and we see these blowholes, chat, like anywhere is an orifice on this mural, whether it be someone's mouth or asshole or peen, it shoots out a dart, and Indy's like, oh shit. And so, also, I forgot to say, chat, before they get over here, there's a precipice. There is a precipice because the floor fell out. There's a pit. And so, like, it's a big fucking pit. The abyss is down there. Just a fucking abyss. And so, Indy has to use his bullwhip. He gets it on a branch, and he swings over, and he gives it to Alfred Molina, who takes it. He swings over, and he almost falls. He's like, oh! And Harrison Ford's got to grab onto his belt buckle, chat. Grabs it and pulls him up. And Alfred Molina's like, oh, senor. He starts hugging him and shit. And Indy's like, get off of me, goddammit. And then they go to the room, chat, where they have all the traps and stuff. Very important detail. I cannot miss that, chat. I cannot miss that. White man steals South American Prego statue. That could also be, the name of the movie. At least the first 15 minutes. I'll agree with that. Deadpool. You're not wrong. But now we're at the part of the darts, and Indy's like, okay, I just got to avoid all the moss-covered stones, and I won't set off the darts. And so he starts tiptoeing and everything. And Alfred Molina's just going, ooh, like the whole time, like watching, and Indy's like, oh shit, almost tripping over. But eventually, Chad, he gets to the dais. He gets to the altar where they have the Prego Peruvian sculpture, and he's like, all right, but it's clearly on like a weighted system, and he's like, if I remove this, it's gonna set off a big booby trap. And so he has this pouch of sand, and he's like trying to judge the weight, and he's like, all right, it's pretty thick, but maybe not that thick. Let me take some of the sand out. I'm going to take some of the sand out. He dumps some of the sand on the ground, and he's like, okay, I got to just do it really quick. And he's like, and by the way, the music, chat, by John Williams, who had already cut his teeth with the Jaws score, the Star Wars, chat, Empire. Here he is again doing Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark, chat. So one of the most iconic theme ever. So goddamn, just ratcheting up that tension, Chad. So goddamn good. But Indy is like, okay, I gotta just grab it and put this on there really fast. And right before he does that, we cut to Alfred Molina, who is like rubbing his fingers, like, ooh, like nipples, like he's rubbing nips. Like he's rubbing the nipples of the Prego golden Peruvian statue, chat, like in midair. He's like, nipples. And Indy goes, whoop-ha, and he puts the bag of sand, takes the statue. Nothing happens. He's like, hell yeah. Fuck yeah, I did it. See you later. And then the fucking the altar starts to go down. He's like, oh, fucking shit. And the whole temple starts to collapse in on itself. It's like, you stole our golden Prego Peruvian statue. You must die, white man, and the mysterious ethnically brown person you brought with you. And so he's like, oh, and he starts running, chat. He doesn't give a shit. I love it. Like, it's his first adventure, and he's fucking up already. There's something really charming about that, chat. But he starts running, and he's pressing, he's stepping on all the moss-covered, buttons, and all the darts are shooting at him. He's like, fuck shit. And he starts running. Alvin Molina, he's already taken off because he's a fucking coward, and he uses the whip to get over Chet. He swings, but the fucking branch is all messed up. Kind of messes up the branch, but he's like, he lands on his back, and the whip detaches. It detaches. And so Indy's on the other side, and he's like, throw me the whip. And Alvin Molina's like, throw me the idol. He's like, throw me the I'll throw you the whip if you throw me the idol, senor. And Indy's like, fuck, fine. And he throws him the idol. He's like, give me the whip. And Alvin Molina's like, adios, senor. And he fucking throws the whip down where he leaves Chet and runs out. He runs out into the hallway room, and he's like, motherfucker. He's like, god damn it, no time to argue, senor. Kill Whitey. South American dub. It's time to kill Whitey. You touched our Prego statue. Indy, he's just like, he just fucking dives. He just fucking takes a leap, chat, knocks the wind out of himself, holds onto a little branch. He's like, oh god, oh Jesus, oh. And he manages to crawl up, chat, but then the door in front of him starts to close. And he goes on, he grabs the whip, grabs the, he jumps forward, hat's on the other side, boom, grabs the hat. Whoo, he's like, I'm good. Continues walking, Chad, and he goes, whoa, because we see Alfred Molina. He forgot about the booby trap room. He walked in front of one of the slots of the sunlight coming in, and he has been speared, Chad. He's been speared to death through the fucking head, through the throat, through the tum-tum, and through the peen, Chad. Just shot right down the shaft. And he sees the statue, the Prego statue right at Alfred Molina's feet, and he grabs that shit, and he's like, adios, senor. It's like, got him, Chad, got him. And Alfred Molina is out of the picture, Chad, and he will later play Dr. Otto Octavius. Again, looking not like he does in this movie. He's a chameleon, Chad. It's fucking crazy. Doc Ock's variant, that's great. But you think it's over yet, Chad? No, because as he's walking out, he's running out, Chad. He hears something above him, Chad, and this giant fucking boulder starts rolling after him. He's like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" And he's like, "Oh!" As this boulder is going down this track, Chad, trying to smush him, trying to run him over. He gets covered in all these giant, thick spider webs, Chad, until eventually he just launches himself out as the giant boulder closes up the temple, Chad. Now, what's so funny about this scene is Spielberg was so excited about the boulder, he wanted to make the sequence longer. But originally it was supposed to be very, very short. The boulder was just supposed to drop down and almost hit him. But he thought it would be really cool if it was rolling after him the whole time. So he requested that the production people, the set people, actually build a longer track so the boulder can try to hit Harrison Ford. And that's what it was. It was supposed to be a much, much shorter sequence. So it's pretty cool. He requested 50 extra feet for the stunt. And so, fucking Indy, he launches out of it, chat. He launches out of it, covered in spider webs, covered in spider shit. Oh, just breathing heavy and shit. He looks up, and he is surrounded by indigenous people, chat. And they got their fucking blow darts. They got their bow and arrows pointed directly at him, chat. And we see the floppy hat guy from earlier who tried to shoot Indiana Jones in the back with a revolver. And he just falls down, chat, dead. Just covered his entire back, chat. Covered. Now, it's not acupuncture, chat. He's covered. He's embedded. He's like a porcupine filled with poison darts. And he's like, shit. And who walks up, chat? Belloc. Goddamn Belloc, the Belgian archaeologist, chat, who's dressed like a fucking colonizer. He comes over and is like, Dr. Jones, never good when it comes to picking friends. If only you spoke the indigenous people's language. And he's like, I fucking tell him you're a piece of shit and a murderer, Belloc. He's like, yes, my friend, but sadly, you do not speak that, so they do not know. They do not know. And he's like, what's yours is mine, Dr. Jones. Please give me the statue. And then he's like, fuck, the golden Prego Peruvian statue? Yes, the golden pregnant Peruvian statue. And he's like, and he hands it over, and he's like, it's beautiful, isn't it? And he's like, oh, Dr. Jones, another thing that you have lost that I gain. And he raises the statue up to all the people, all the indigenous people, and he speaks their language. He says, or some shit. And they're like, shit, you're our god, white Belgian man. And he's like, time to go. And then he just fucking takes off. He is Jovitos. Is that what they speak? He speaks Jovitos. That's what it is. Thank you, Sir Work. And he wears the uniform. It is straight up the colonizer uniform, Chad. It's with that particular fucking hat. It's that kind of white khaki. He's wearing. I would never wear shorts in the jungle, Chad. You're gonna get bitten alive. But he's straight up wearing the colonizer uniform. And he just fucking he's like, fuck this, I gotta go because he's gonna kill me. He immediately takes off running, and then Belloc does this crazy thing and goes, just fucking get him, kill him, come from me. And all the native people, all the indigenous people run after Indiana Jones. He does a he kind of laughs and shit, really menacing and evil. So this guy's the bad guy. Fun fact, chat. Belloc is played by Paul Freeman, chat, who went on to play Ivan Ooze in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie, chat. What's that smell? Smells like teenagers. Ah, yes, that's him. That was him. That is teenagers. That's Belloc, chat. That is Ivan Ooze. One and the same. It's fucking nuts, isn't it? And so at this point, Indy is just being chased by the natives. He's being chased by indigenous people. And there's this one fucking show, which I think is hilarious, of this one guy who stops to, who pulls back the bow and fires off an arrow, and it completely misses. It just goes in the opposite direction. It's like, what were you fucking aiming at, dude? You know that scene, chat? You know that scene? And then it was like, what? We were like, forget it. They're like, it's fucking hot in the jungle. We don't want to film this again. But it's a very weird shot of this one particular indigenous person who fires an arrow who's not aiming at Indy whatsoever, and it just goes all the way to the left. It's fucking nuts, chat. It's fucking nuts. Chimalachanga, hello, everyone. Today is my birthday. I want to watch your stream. Thank you. Great to have you here. I gotta do some songs. I had some birthday boys and some birthday girls last week and today. So I gotta go ahead and serenade you with my lovely, lovely voice. It'd be great. But he's fucking just running. He's just fucking running from these natives, and we cut to this guy who is fishing, chat, on his little plane, his little seaplane, and he's got a good one. He's got a good fucking fish. He's like, oh shit, this is great, chat. Jacques is his name, Jacques. And at this point, he's got this fish, but then he hears Indy, Jacques, and this is great fucking wide shot of Indiana Jones being chased by, like, looks like 100 fucking indigenous people, these 100 natives. He's like, start the plane, Jacques, start the plane. I just lose his goddamn mind. Jacques like, start the plane, but I'll have it fish here. Oh, fuck it. And he throws it in the water, chat. Releases the fish, and he gets the plane where he gets that motor running, and Indy's just running up, and he does, I love it because he grabs classic, action adventure. He grabs onto like a vine and swings from it, but he does like the derpiest, fall off. He goes, like he spins around, just falls into the water, and just like, just swimming as the natives are firing arrows at him and poison darts, chat, and he's just like, for the love of fucking God, start the plane, Jock. And he grabs onto it, chat, as the plane lifts off the water. Indy crawls into the co-pilot seat, and it takes off, chat, into the horizon. And he's just like, he's like, and we see this fucking giant Burmese python, chat, crawling up Indiana Jones's thick thighs, chat, wrapping around that thick white man meat. And he's like, there's a snake in the plane, Jacques. There's a snake in the plane. And Jacques like, that's just my snake, Reggie. And he's like, I hate snakes, Jacques. I hate them. And then as the plane goes in the rising. This is like the first, I want to say, 10, 15 minutes of the movie. Like, all of this has happened, Chess. Like, I love that, like, how each Indiana Jones movie starts. We're already in the middle of another adventure, at the tail end of an adventure. And it's very reminiscent of something like James Bond, chat, like how a lot of James Bond movies start. It's already like James Bond he's finishing up a mission. He was already in the mission, or maybe a mission went bad. It's like, you could tell there's a lot of James Bond DNA in Indiana Jones. I love it for that, chat. But after that, we cut, and we're back in the United States of America, chat, where Indiana Jones, he's teaching at a university. Like, this is what pays the bills, chat. It's like, yes, he does. He goes on these grand adventures. That's his, for the thrills, chat. He loves doing that kind of thing. That's his lifeblood. But you got to still make the money, honey, okay? And he teaches at a university, chat, and he can't spell for fucking shit. He's like, his total attire changes. His total demeanor changes. He's a little more meeker sounding. But he wears glasses too. He's got a fucking, like, brown jacket and brown pants. A little bow tie. He's got a little bow tie, chat. And he's struggling to spell Neolithic. I don't know. But he spells Neolithic, chat. And he's talking in this class, he's teaching them about, the Stone Age period, architecture and all that. We see good old Marcus Brody walk in, chat. Marcus Brody, let's put some respect on the actor's name, chat. Denholm Elliott is Marcus Brody, who's no longer with us anymore. But he walks in. He's the curator of the museum. He's also the president of the university. He sits on a lecture, and he sees him. He's like, go, keep going. And, Indy keeps talking in the class and everything. And there's this one girl. There's this one big bosom girl who is just sitting there going, and she's like blinking really slow. And there seems to be something written on her eyes. And Indy like takes notice of this, and he's like, yes, he's going on, but he starts to trail off, and he sees on her eyes, and she has somehow written or gotten someone to write "love you" in thick black marker on her eyelids, Chad. And he's like, and this is oh god, this is a court case waiting to happen, Chad. He's like, I am not going to be put on the list. Okay, I'm not going to be sleeping with one of my students. Okay, you are underage. This is not going to happen. And thankfully, the fucking bell rings. He's like, yeah, everybody, all right, well, be sure to read chapter 12 of Neolithic Studies, and I'll see you next time. And then they all leave, and the girl's like, whatever. And she just jailbait. Fucking, he's like, I am not getting jailbaited. Absolutely fucking not. No, it ain't fucking happening. But they all walk off. They all walk. And then there's this one nerdy kid who is like so aggressive because he's like, I have an apple for the teacher. But he puts down the apple like so aggressively on Indy's desk. Like, here's your fucking apple. And he just walks away. Look at that kid's body language, Chad. It's very interesting to me. He fucking puts, and then fucking Marcus Brody, he just like, well, this is mine now. This is my apple. You didn't get the golden Prego Peruvian statue now, did you, Indy? He's like, no, I didn't hire the best help. Alfred Molina betrayed me, and all my disposable brown people died or ran away. And Belloc was there. He goes, that guy. And he's just eating the apple and shit. But he's like, I did get you some good stuff. I've culturally appropriated all this stuff. You can have it. And he like shows him. He's like, yeah, this will be great for the museum. And he just fucking pockets that shit. He just puts it in his pockets like, you're going to sell down the black market, aren't you, Marcus Brody? President Brody. What the hell are you doing? And he's like, but that's not why I came down here to see you, okay? And he's like, listen, I can do another expedition. There's all these other places I want to go to. He's like, I understand that. Actually, the reason why I came down here is because there are some people from the federal government that want to talk to you. It's not, I guess the CIA. I guess they're G-men, basically, Chad. They're G-men. And he's like, from the federal government? What do they want to talk with me for? Well, they want your opinion on something. And Indy's like, okay, sure. I can do that. I'm happy to do that. And so then, Chad, we're introduced to Porkins from Star Wars. Yes, Chad, Porkins from Star Wars is in this movie. Played by the late, great Chet. Let me put some respect on this man's name, Chet. William Hookins, Don Fellows and William Hookins, Chet. William Hookins plays one of the G-men. He also played Porkins famously in Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. He was one of the first pilots of Red Squadron to die. He also played Eckhart, kind of the Harvey Bullock-esque character in Batman 1989, when they dubbed over most of his dialogue for some reason. But he also played that, so he's been in like a lot of these fucking famous movies, Chat. Pretty gosh dang goddamn cool. But they go in there, and this is interesting because it's literally just 4 people in a room with Indy explaining, like basically going over what the Ark of the Covenant is. That's the thing. The G-men are there, and they're asking, like, listen, we need someone's expertise and also experience in regards to something that's happening in the Middle East right now. And he's like, what is it? And he's like, Hitler is currently Chancellor of Germany, and we're concerned about that. And he's also obsessed with the occult. And he's sending various expeditions around the world to collect ancient artifacts, which he believes can give him power. And one of the things is that he's currently obsessed with finding is the Ark of the Covenant. And Indy's like, shit. He's like, I'll tell you about the Ark of the Covenant. And he does this whole exposition, Chad. And again, it's like he has this giant fucking tome of literally the oldest book. Like, this book has a lock on it. He has to unlock the book, opens it up, and you can just imagine the smell, Chad. Just centuries of just human stank on that book. And he's like, I'll show you a picture, Chad. And we see the picture of the Ark, Chad, used by the Hebrews to wipe away their enemies, Chad, as they laid claim to Judea, kept out invaders for hundreds of years until it was lost to history and time, chat. And it had great power. It was also said to be a way to communicate with God. And whoever shall possess the Ark shall rule the world. And they're like, we don't want Hitler to have this. We don't want him to rule the world and shit. But they're like, but thankfully he hasn't found it. Hitler has not found it. They've hit a dead end. We've been told that you might know someone who can find this. And he talks, and they mention Dr. Ravenwood, Dr. Abner Ravenwood. And he's like, yeah, I know him. I haven't talked with him in a long time. what do you want to see him is like he's an expert on in Judeo culture and Hebrew culture and the Ark of the Covenant, and it's like, can you contact him? He's got I possibly could, and he might have the thing that we need to find the Ark. He's like, what are you talking about? And Indiana Jones explains that there is this pendant where you use it on like a diorama, like a model, and it'll show you like in this ancient room, possibly found in ancient Egypt, chat, near Cairo. You put it into the floor on a certain stick, of a certain length, where it gives you the dimensions on the medallion, on the amulet. And if you put it in there, and when the sun hits in a particular way, it'll show you the location of the Ark of the Covenant, allegedly the location of the Ark of the Covenant. And they're like, listen, let me go ahead. Like the G-Men are like, well, you certainly know this stuff. We want you to be a part of it. We want you to lead this expedition. He's like, I don't know if I want to do this. He's like, let's talk with Marcus Brody, and we'll come back to you and we'll let you know. And he's like, all right, but he's really excited about it. He's jazzed about it. Like finding the Ark of the Covenant, that'll bring him all the renown, fortune that he could possibly imagine, Chad. And so we cut to Indiana Jones's home, which is we don't often see his home. We see it here in Raiders. People often say we see it in the third film. We do not. That is Sean Connery's. That's Dr. Henry Jones's home. But what we really see, the next time we see his home is in Crystal Skull, but that movie doesn't exist, so we only see it here. But we're at his home, chat, and Marcus Brody, he goes up and he's like, yep, they've greenlit the fucking expedition. We're going. And fucking Indy, he is so excited. He's like, fuck yes! I want to find the Ark of the Covenant. It's going to be so much fun. I'm going to go talk to fucking Abner. It'll be great. I'm going to get the fucking medallion. We'll have super cool adventures and stuff. And Marion's there. I'll be able to have hot, sweaty sex with Marion. It's going to be great. But Marcus is like, listen, Indy, I mean, fucking Hitler and the Nazis are involved. I mean, this could be dangerous. And I mean, what if the legends of the Ark are true? I mean, if someone were to attain the power that is said to be inside of it, they could lay waste to so much. Our way of life could be over. And then he's like, Marcus, come on. You believe all that magic mumbo jumbo? I'm not the superstitious type. Come on, man. And listen, I don't worry. I take the necessary precautions. And he has a fucking revolver. Chad has his whip, has his hat, and he's getting packed up, baby. It's good. And we see him, chats, like the next day or whatever, it's all been prepped, and he's getting in a plane, chat, and he boards it, and he sits down. Fucking people are getting champagne, being served champagne. It's like, now this is fucking interesting. People are just smoking like, they don't give a shit. Hey, well, if we all fucking die, who cares? We're all going to be, smoking cigarettes. We're already halfway out the door in terms of death, and we'll go down drunk. What's better than that? I tell you, what's better than that, chat? But Indy, he's just sitting there. He's like, I'll fucking take a goddamn champagne. Hell yeah, he's enjoying himself, chat. But in the background, we see a man dressed in all white. Or it's not all white, Jesus. We see a man dressed in all black, chat, because he is the bad guy. And this is Tote, chat. And he's one of those SS officers, chat, with experience in torture, chat. Yes, I wish to torture you, Dr. Jones. And so he's just like, yes, I am watching you. And he's just in the background. It's like, all right, because he's following Dr. Jones. The Nazis have gotten wind of what the American government's trying to do, what they're trying to stop. They're trying to stop the Führer and his destiny to rule the world. But, chat, we get one of the most iconic traveling scenes in the movie. It's very simple. It's just the plane, but on top of that, we see it's kind of like a translucent see-through, and we see the fucking map, chat, with that single fucking red line making all its destination points, from where India is to like LA, then to Hawaii, and then all across, the Japan, and then finally into Nepal, chat. But you have that music playing, bum, ba-da-dum, bum, 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 ba-da-dum, bum, bum, ba-bum, ba, bum, ba, 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 bum, ba, bum, ba, bum, ba, ba. That travel music, chat. It's like, oh my God, this is so good. Until he finally lands on Nepal, chat. And we fade into a bar in Nepal, this snowy bar, chat, covered in ice and covered in snow. But it's rambunctious in there, chat. And we're introduced to two people who are having a drink off, chat. They got money on the line, and we're seeing who can down the most shots of fucking whiskey, chat. And we see a very swollen-looking Asian individual, chat. I mean, like, I could tell you've been fucking drinking. You have cirrhosis of the body. Every cell is flooded and filled with thick alcohol. You need to stop, sir. All right? He's like, I fucking care. Downs it. And he's like, You try, bitch. And we see, chat, one of the lovely ladies, one of the most iconic female characters of all time, chat, Marion Ravenwood, chat. Played by Karen Allen, who does such a great job, and she's after my own heart, chat, because she's a lady. She's fucking tough. She likes to rumble and tumble, chat, and she can drink anybody. She can outdrink anybody, chat, even me. And that is like the sexiest fucking thing in the world, because she like takes like another shot and she's everyone's like, oh, it's done. She's like, ah. And then she says, she speaks like, you know, Nepalese or something. She's like, I fucking got it. And she puts the fucking glass down. She's like, all right, dude, let's see you try to beat that. And she's like burping and shit. So cute. And the guy's like, I got it. There you go. Oh, boy. He just fucking falls over, chat. And she beat him, chat. She is a superior, better alcoholic than that swollen individual she beat. And they were like, yay, she won, and she gets all this fucking money. These other people that bet on her to win, they get all their fucking money. And she's like, free drinks for everybody, and everyone drinks. And eventually they all go home, chat. They're all going home. They're all leaving. And she starts taking her money and shit. She starts putting it in her little cigar box, little keepsake, chat, you know, for a raining day when she needs that. And she's moving stuff around. She's cleaning up the bar, chat. I love the fucking sets in this movie. They're so goddamn good. Like, they're all practical sets. There is some blue screen layer in the film, chat, especially for a scene that comes up when they find the Ark, when they're excavating the Ark and they're taking the top off of this giant stone tablet. But so much of this movie is practical effects. It's one of the things I've been talking about when referencing King of the Crystal Skull, where that movie does not have the same aesthetic as these first three, is because everything is real. Where in Crystal Skull, so much of that fucking film is CGI. Nothing is real. It's all green screen. There's no practicals to it. It's not grounded, which bothers me. Whereas these three films definitely feel really grounded, and they built these sets, and they feel very lived in, and they look cool, and they have aged extraordinarily well. She's cleaning up all this stuff, chat. Got all these different fires going, you know, all these hearths and stuff. And the use of the shadows in this movie is so great. Iconic shadow work, chat. Because as she's like moving to this wall, and we see Indiana Jones walk in the bar, and his entire body is illuminated by the fire and is put up on this giant shadow. And she fucking knows who it is. She's like, I know that fucking outline because I used to fuck that outline. And she goes, Indiana Jones. And he's like, hello, Marion. How you doing? And she's like, I'm all right. He's like, hey, listen, can I talk to your dad? And she just fucking cocks back her entire arm. She goes, pah! And she gets him right in the chin. She's like, you got a lot of fucking balls to come into my bar after what you've done. And it's like, Marion, it was a long time ago, okay? She goes, I was a child, and I was in love. And he's like, what we had, it wasn't right, okay? You know, I'm sorry if that's worth anything right now. This is interesting, chap, because in the description for this movie, they say that Indiana Jones had a forbidden love affair with Marion. And it's like, what does that mean? Now, you could interpret it where Indiana Jones worked with Dr. Abner Ravenwood and met his daughter and went against his wishes probably to engage in a relationship with her. Loving relationship, sexual relationship. He's like, oh, and that's why it was forbidden. Now, originally, this is fucking crazy. I can only say I'm sorry so many times. Great fucking line. But apparently, when George Lucas and Steven Spielberg were working on the script, George Lucas said, yeah, you know, he was, they were in love with each other and had a sexual relationship when she was 11 years old. 11 years old, George, what are you talking about? And Steven Spielberg famously said, she better be older than that. It's like, George, what the fuck? Yeah, hashtag me too, exactly. It's very, very weird. And so George Lucas apparently thought of it in a very different way, that Indiana Jones had sex with an underage girl. I am not fucking joking. Look at that. Look up those facts, chat. It's real. I talked about it in my commentary, too. It's fucking nuts. And so when I hear the forbidden relationship, sex relationship, is because Indy went against Abner Ravenwood's wishes to be with his daughter. I read it that way. 11. Listen. Crazy, right? Fucking nuts. So, he's like, I just want to see your dad. And she's like, well, he's fucking dead. The sickness took him. He's like, I'm sorry. He's like, of course you're sorry. Always Brayden, you're fucking sorry. He's like, I only say sorry so many times. And he's like, listen, Marion, I'll get out of your hair. I'll pay you, but I'm looking for this medallion, okay, that he had. It's related to a project I'm working on right now. It's very important. There could be some bad people involved too. Do you have it? And she's like, I'll look for it. I might know where it is, okay? She says, how about this? How about you get the fuck out of my bar, come back here with that money you promised, and I'll give it to you. And he's like, okay, Marion, okay, I'll do that. And so he leaves, Chad, and she sits down. She's fucking drinking, always drinking. Marion's an alcoholic, no doubt about that. But she's drinking, and she sees, Chad, between her big old bazungas is this fucking huge medallion. She's been wearing it the whole time because her father, Dr. Abner Ravenwood, Chat, told her, this is very fucking important, okay? I'm on to something with the Ark of the Covenant. Don't let anyone get a hold of this, even after I die. And lo and behold, he did die. But she's there, and she's like looking at it and shit. And she takes it off, and she puts it like, she's like, all right, I'll just leave it out here. Who gives a fuck? It's my bar. No one's going to take anything from me. And she puts it like on this, I don't know, like this candlestick holder or something. It's like this little ornament that's in the middle of the table. She puts it on there. She keeps cleaning up the bar. And then all of a sudden, they hear there's a fucking knock on the door, and the door opens, Chad. She's like, I'm sorry, we're closed. And we see, Chad, Tote from the plane, the evil Nazi SS man, chap. He's there, decked out in black, surrounded by people in heavy prosthetics. So for this scene, there are some Asian people in this, but there's also white people in quote-unquote brown face, yellow face, chat, literally, because all these guys, you see, they have blue eyes, and they're clearly wearing prosthetic around their eyes to make them appear more Asian looking. And it's like, that is obviously a white man. I can tell. And it's just like, they couldn't have, they're like, we need some Nepal people. We don't have any Asian people. We don't have any. He's like, fuck, put him in the yellow brown face. Let's go. We got to make this movie. So that's what we kind of fucking see. And it's like, he sort of got his pedophilia in Star Wars prequels. Yes, he did. And, oh my God, with Annie and Padme. Padme is a pedophile, chat. She's a pedophile. She looks at little Annie and she's like, I'm going to fuck this kid someday. Yep, chat. No doubt about it. And so, but John Rhys-Davies, a British man playing Indy. I mean, he plays he's like Alfred Molina. You're like, I don't know what you are, John Rhys-Davies. I don't know what you are. And he plays an Egyptian in this particular movie. But he went over to Britain. He had a British education. But they walk in there, and it's like, and Tote is just so fucking. He's like, you are very socially awkward, Tote, because you can't really have a conversation with anyone unless it's about the fear, unless it's about torture or killing somebody. It's those three things. Outside of that, he's a little awkward, chat. And he's like, we are very thirsty. And he's fucking sweaty. It's like, you were out in the snow. Why are you so fucking sweaty, Tote? And he's just dripping sweat down his face. And you're like, this guy, he looks like a Pillsbury Doughboy Nazi, chat. And I'm very concerned about it. And he's like, and she's like, all right, well, I mean, I guess I can get you a couple of drinks, maybe a couple of drinks for you, man. He's like, oh, I see that your fire is dying. And he goes over the fire, and he starts poking at it, and he's like, there was an American gentleman who had just entered your bar. Apparently, he was looking for something that I, too, would want. Can you tell me where it is? And she goes, oh, yeah. No, I told him to get lost because I sold it like years ago. I don't even know. I don't know who has it now. And he's like, hi, yes, good, very good. And then she's like, oh, and she's like starting to read the room. She's like, all right, these guys are not fucking around. There's something messed up with them. She's like, hey, how about some drinks for your men? How about some free drinks on the house for your men? And he's like, no. That will be okay. And he speaks some fucking German, like Schnell or whatever, Schnoinine or whatever the fuck it is. And they grab her, Chad. They grab her and they're holding her down like on the table. And he fucking waddles over and he's like, she's like, listen, guys, listen. I'll fucking tell you whatever you want to know. And he has the hot poker, Chad, which is now molten. It's been in the fire the whole time. He's like, yes. I know you will. He doesn't even give a shit. He's like, I know you're going to tell me what I want to know, but I'm going to fucking stick this inside of you anyway. It's like, holy fucking shit. And right before he's about to sticker chat with the molten hot pick, Indiana comes in there whoosh, with that fucking whip, hits the fucking thing out of Toad's hand, but it flies across the room, chat, and it hits like a curtain. And starts, I don't know what the fuck that curtain was made out of, chat, but it starts to go up. And he's like, let her go. And Toad's like, kill him. And we get one of the best shootouts, chat, in 1980s film history. I love this fucking shootout, chat. Like the choreography of it. Indy takes cover, pulls out his revolver. These guys pull out fucking Tommy guns. We also see some German guys there, too. They're all in black as well. We also have the Nepali, I guess, Nepal citizens, Nepalese people. They're there. They're fighting with Indian shit. It's excellent. There's a great scene where India's fighting with this one guy who like has him on the bar and is just like throwing him across it. And Marion is like, get me. He's like calling the Marion like, give me a fucking bottle so I can hit him in the head. And he hits him over the head and it doesn't fucking work. He's like, shit. And eventually she uncorks one of these big barrels of whiskey and it goes all the way down the table. And she just fucking like lights it on fire to get the one guy off the Indy, chat. It's like really goddamn cool. And they're just going back and forth and she's fighting as well. Tote, he sees Indy grappling with one of the guys for like this gun and shit, one of the Nepalese guys. But Tote, he gets up along with this other German guy and he's looking at them. He's like, shoot him. Shoot them both. And it's a brilliant scene where the Nepalese guy and Indy like stop fighting and look at each other and go, holy shit. And he fucking takes the gun and shoots the German guy. It's a great scene because at that point, like, if I was this guy who was like, okay, this guy clearly doesn't give a shit about me. Okay, this was a job. I'm going to help you now, Indiana Jones. I don't want to fucking have to deal with this bullshit. I'd be like, I'm on your side. I love that. Oh, yeah, and he fights the guy that's on fire because, Marion set the fucking bar on fire. It's so fucking cool. And then shoots him and all that. And eventually, I think she like knocks the guy out with like a bar stool or something. Like hits him over the head. He falls over at this point. Tote, who's a little cowardly bitch, he's crawling on the ground and he sees what he thinks is the medallion, chat. And we see the medallion like fell over during the fight, like because the table was knocked over and stuff. But it's been over an open flame this entire time. And this fucking idiot, he can't feel the heat, I guess. And he just grabs that shit and it just sears into his hand. He goes, and he drops it, and he just runs out. He runs out. He fucking jumps through a window, chat, and he's outside going, ooh, 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 and he's like, just put your hand in the snow, you fucking moron. And he finally does it, chat, until it, makes it feel better. But we cut inside the bar. The whole fucking place is burning down. And there's this one last guy, who clearly is a white man and who has prosthetics to make him look Asian. He has a fucking gun pointed at Indy at this point, chat, and we hear a boom, we hear a gunshot. He's like, oh! But he drops down dead, chat. He's like he's got shot in the back of the head, chat. His blood comes out of his mouth. Pretty violent film. It's PG rated, chat. PG-13 rating would be created when Temple of Doom and Gremlins came out, Chad, in 84. That's when they're like, MPA is like, these are too violent. But this movie is surprisingly fucking violent, Chad. Very violent. But he falls over. We see that Marion was the one. Marion Ravenwood shot him in the back of the fucking head. Indy comes over, grabs her. She's like, wait. And she takes like this handkerchief and she wraps the medallion and puts her in her pocket. And they go out, they exit the bars. It's just fucking crumbling on top of itself because of the fire. Tote probably skedaddled. He's like, I got to get the fuck out of here. I got to get my SS goose-stepping ass as far from here as possible because I will not be able to beat these two American people. They'll kick my little German ass. And so he got out of Dodge, chat. And so they're just standing out there, and she's like, well, you sure know how to make a fucking great introduction, Indiana. He's like, I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry. I'll pay you back for the bar. Yeah, you'll pay me back for the bar, and you're also going to cut me in with this whole thing you got. I'm your goddamn partner. And it's like, she got the medallion. She was like, cool. And then we have the thing where they go from Nepal to traveling the fucking world, chat, until eventually they go to Cairo, chat, where the Nazis are currently having an expedition trying to find the Ark and the Covenant, chat, just outside of Cairo. And they're there, and they're joined by Sallah, chat. They're joined by, we finally meet Sallah and Salah's beautiful fucking family. Che, he's got a wife. He's got like 15 kids. He's doing well for himself. And I love Sallah. I love John Rhys-Davies. He's so good in this role. It would have been really interesting to see Danny DeVito in this role because he was initially cast as Sallah, but John Rhys-Davies, I think it's just that booming voice and that really big personality. It's like, Indy, my friend, and he's always hugging everybody. It's like, I love Sallah, and that's why I was so happy to see him return in Last Crusade. I was like, oh yes, because I felt like Temple of Doom. Spielberg's like, all right, I want to go back to some of the notes that I left out, of Temple of Doom. I want to go back to kind of get that the feel of Raiders again. I think having Sallah come back was really good. Yeah, Danny DeVito was initially cast as Sallah, but he had to drop out because of his contract with Taxi at the time, the series Taxi. Same reason why Tom Selleck couldn't play Indiana Jones. He was cast, and it was 3 weeks before they started shooting, but the network got wind of what was going on. They said, you can't do that, and so he had to drop out, and that's when Harrison Ford was cast. But they're there, and Salah's just like, he's talking, he's having a great time. Marion Ravenwood, she's like, Salah, you have a beautiful wife and a beautiful fucking family. He goes, thank you, Marion, thank you. And there's a little monkey that joins them, Chad, and the monkey's just having a great goddamn time. He's just acting fool, and then the wife's like, where the fuck does monkey come from? And the children are like, he's funny. We like the monkey, Mama. Can we keep him? And the monkey takes a shine to Marion, chap, because he's just climbing all over and stuff. And at this point, Marion and Indy are just making goo-goo eyes at each other, chat. She's like, no, we're going to fuck after this, okay? And we have the Indiana Jones love theme playing in the background, chat. And she's like, hey, you like this? And she's wearing like a really cute dress on, like a really cute, I guess really just cute, not dress technically, but a really cute outfit. And she's like being all sultry towards Indy and shit. It's like they've been with each other after all that. Hey, history, chat. And horrible trauma will make people want to bring people together, chat, and want to fuck. So it's like, it makes sense. But at this point, Indy's like, okay, we got to talk about this. Sallah as Marion is talking with, the kids and hanging out with Salah's wife. And, Sallah starts going into detail. He's like, listen, the Nazis are running a big fucking operation. There's nothing been anything like this in Cairo that I've worked as a digger. That's his profession, Chad. He's a professional digger. He does these expeditions into the desert and various other countries surrounding Egypt. He's very exceptional at it. And he says it's very hard to get in. They have a lot of soldiers there, Indy, and they're being led by, he says, a French archaeologist named Beluche. And he's like, Beluche? And Indy starts to realize, he's like, oh, and Sallah starts describing that. He's like, he's very ostentatious, very egotistical. And he's like, that motherfucker, Belloc. Belloc is the guy's name. He's a Belgian archaeologist. And he's like, of course he'd work for the fucking Nazis. And Salah's like, well, what do you want to do? And he's like, Indy's like, okay, we got to scope that place out. Clearly, they're struggling to find this place. They don't have the medallion, which we have right here, which, Marion has. So, and Salah's like, don't worry about it. What I'll do is I'll take this medallion to, I guess, this expert who's like in translations and things. He's like this seer, this wise man who sounds like this. Come. I look Spain exposition. He's like, I'll take it to Mr. High-pitched exposition. But in the meantime, enjoy the fruits of Cairo. I mean, yeah, you guys are happy to stay here right now. Let me know if you need anything. Enjoy the fucking wine. Enjoy the dates. The dates are Indy. I love these fucking dates. I can't stop stuffing myself with them. By the way, they put John Rhys-Davies in like the tightest button shirt imaginable. It's like those buttons were about to pop. Give the man a large shirt. Why are you going to put him in that child small? Jesus Christ. But he goes out. Kyle looks awesome, yeah. And they did film this. They filmed this in, I want to say, Tunisia. And Spielberg has said this was the most difficult, at least of the time when he did that interview, which might have been like the 90s or maybe the 2000s. But he said shooting Raiders of the Lost Ark in Tunisia, and I think also, I guess partly Egypt, but I think most of it was filmed in Tunisia. That's where they also filmed a lot of the stuff for Star Wars. I guess, because it was cheaper to do that, and they were more accommodating for filmmakers during that time period. But everyone on set, all the actors, the entire crew, the entire production, all had horrific dysentery, chat, and food poisoning because they ate the local cuisine and they drank water there. And I mean, Harrison Ford was really sick filming a lot of these sequences here. There's a famous sequence that was improvised by Ford, which we'll cover in a bit, where after doing some choreography said, fuck it, I can't do it. And you could tell he looks ill. He looks ill. But the only person not to get sick during the production was Steven Spielberg, because he had brought this giant like case of canned food, and he had bottled water shipped in for himself. And so he's like, I don't know what the problem is, but he said it was just difficult to shoot anything because the entire crew was always consistently sick. And so they had to delay filming and photography for so many days because so many of the stars and actors and people behind the scenes were getting sick. And so he's like, it was the most difficult experience shooting a movie, at least that particular sequence he ever had. And like, I fucking believe him. It's nuts. Naya Brownie peeks from behind the bush. Hi, Naya. I'm talking about Raiders of the Lost Ark. And so then we see Marion and Indy and the little monkey monk. They're walking around the streets of Cairo just hanging out. And she's just like eating this food. She's like eating this fruit or something. I think it's dates. I think she's eating dates. And she's like just talking about it. She's like, yeah, no, once we when we find this Ark thing, you'll go ahead, you'll give me my cut, I'll take 50%. He's like, all right, listen, I'll finder's fee, you'll get a percentage. She's like, Patooey, and she's like spitting out these shit. She's like, listen, okay, I got you the medallion, you be fucking shit out of luck without that medallion, and you get to look at me the whole time. You see this body? You see this? Yeah, all right, I get 50. And he's like, all right, okay. But then the little monkey he's been hanging out in Marion, grabbing on her and shit. He suddenly scampers away because we see this mysterious Egyptian person with an eye patch. He's like, yes. And the monkey suddenly skulls away. She's like, hey, where are you going? And he's like, don't worry. He'll find us again. He's probably done this countless times. She's like, all right, but I like the monkey. I like monkey. He's like, I know. But they just continue hanging out, just enjoying the fruits of Cairo, as Saw would say. And this little fucking monkey scampers up onto the shoulder of the guy with the eye patch, this Egyptian eye patch guy. And he fucking rides off on his motorcycle, chat, and he goes to this bar, and we see, chat, fucking Nazis. We see these Nazi, spies there, and it's so cool because he's like, he does, like, the Hitler salute, and they're like, yeah, Hail Hitler and shit. And then the monkey actually does a Hail Hitler salute, and the Nazi's like, yeah. And this is funny. How they actually, apparently it took them 3 days to get the shot of the monkey doing the Hail Hitler salute. And how they got it was a crew member, when Steven was filming it with his cinematographer, they had it just out of the shot, pieces of fruit. And so the monkey is like reaching up for it. And it looked like at one of the shots, it looked exactly like a Hail Hitler. And I thought, yes, he's a little Nazi monkey spy. He's a piece of shit. And he's the worst. And he's going to get what's coming to him. And they're like, okay, fantastic. Because they know that Dr. Jones is here. They know that Mayor Ravenwood is here. And they're going to go after them right now. But they're not. The Nazis are going to send their boys after him, Chad, because they don't want to get that hands dirty in Cairo. So they have all this hired help. And so at this point, Indy and fucking Marion, they're just fucking walking around enjoying themselves. And then they're being fucking attacked, Chad. They're being fucking attacked by all these Egyptians. And he's like, I gotta punch. And he starts punching all these people, Chad. And, Marion, she gets involved and she grabs like a tin and just starts going, eh. There's a scene when Harrison Ford is doing all this fight choreography, like beating up like all these guys at once. But they're kicking. The thing is, I love these fight scenes. One, I love the canned punch sound effect. You know what I'm talking about, chat, that psh, psh sound effect that we hear all the time. And I think Steven Spielberg said he loves that sound so much he actually made it louder in all the Indiana Jones films than usual. And I just love that psh effect. And so when he's getting his ass kicked too. Like, he's holding his own, but he's getting hit in the fucking head. He's getting punched in the gut. But in the background, no, you do. You hear it in more. You can hear it in all sorts of other movies. But Spielberg, he said he specifically made it louder for this film because he loves the sound effect. But yeah, you always hear that can, because literally, chat, when people are fighting, that sound is not made. It's not. It's just it's accentuated by a specific thing. And I just love it. It sounds so fucking good. But during this fight sequence, you can literally see Karen L in the background, like, grab like a tin and just going, like on this one guy, but like really awkwardly insults. He's like, I'm fighting too. It's like, yes, you are, Karen. Yes, you are. It's really hilarious. But eventually, and there's one point where this one guy has his fucking sword and he's near this fruit stand, and Indy's like, whoa, he jumps out of the way, but the one guy stabs his other guy, his man at arms, and the fucking blade goes right through him. He's like, no! And he grabs Mayor and like, we got the fuck out of here. And we come back to those two guys, and he impaled like a whole bunch of fruit on the sword. And so when he takes it out, the guy falls over with all the fruit. It was very fucking funny. But they take off running at this point. And, they're fine. They get separate because that's the thing. Indy's like, okay, run over there. But as soon as, what happens? Okay, because they're taking off running. Oh, that's what he says. Go back to Saul. Tell Saul what's happening, but get out of here. And so he takes off. He's like, I'll throw him off your trail. But, the thing is, these guys, they're like, we want the fucking medallion. We're going to come after both of you no matter what. And so at one point, Marion, she grabs like a frying pan, and she's being chased by this one guy who has these teeth going, these rotting fucking teeth and gums. And then she's like, fuck this, because, he pulls out a knife and going, ha, 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 knife beats frying pan. And so she runs into like a home, and this guy chases after her, and we hear all bonk, and he just falls over, Chad, and she hits him with the frying pan because he was out of sight, out of mind. And she drags him back in there, and she goes out. But then all these Nazis fucking spot her. And so she's like, shit. And so she keeps running. And eventually she sees these like giant baskets. And she just climbs into one of these giant baskets, chat, puts this top on. And so she's like out of sight. And the Nazis like run right by her at this point, like not even knowing that she's in there. Going, where did she go? Where did the Fraulein go? Where did she go? But the little shitty Nazi monkey, chat, he's a betrayer. He's a fucking traitor. And he's on top of the basket going, like trying to get open because he knows that she's in there. He's like pointing at it and like jumping on it and shit. And she's like, stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it. And the Nazis are like, there she is, grab the Fraulein. And they grab the basket, chat. They grab the basket. And they're like, they're taking it somewhere. Meanwhile, we cut back to good old Indiana Jones, chat, who has to fight a shit ton of Nazis. One point he's running, and this one guy grabs a fucking machine gun. Oh no, that's not at that point yet. Not at that point yet. But he's running. He's running around. He's beating up all these guys, and we hear Marion in the basket going, Indy! And he's like, oh shit, she's in one of the baskets. And so he follows her, as she's being carried by all these guys. But he turns a corner, where the corner in which she went down with the guys carrying her, and it's all the same fucking baskets because it's apparently, chat, it is laundry day in Cairo. Everyone's doing their laundry. And if I was a citizen of Cairo and this crazy, sweaty white man just suddenly grabbed my laundry, what I just fucking washed, and dumped it onto the dust-covered road, I would be really fucking pissed. I'd be like, fuck you, white man. And so he just starts tearing everyone's laundry, chat. It's like, cultural appropriator, colonizer, you piece of shit. Ducking Henry, laundry day for the win. The Nazis were like, well, thank God it's laundry day, because then Indy won't chase after us. Thank you. I would be heated. I would be heated and a half, no doubt. And thank you so much, Ducking Henry, for the 3-month streak. 3 months subscribed. Very kind of you. 6 months away from pooping out that Twitch, baby. But Indy, he's knocking all these things over, just trying to look for. He's getting all confused. And eventually, chat, the crowd just fucking parts. It just parts. And he's like, what now? And we see this swordsman, chat, in black and red with this giant saber. And he's showing off all his fucking moves and shit. It's like, this guy's a fucking badass. Come. And he's like, fuck it. Pulls out his revolver, bang, and shoots him dead, chat. So this was an improvised moment from Harrison Ford. And apparently it was so funny and it tested really well with test audiences that they kept it in. Because the reason why is, so you can find footage online of the original fight it's really rough. But you can find some footage of the original fight that Indy has with the swordsman. What happened was it was so difficult to film because Harrison Ford was suffering from the worst of his dysentery and food poisoning. And so they kept having to do it over and over and over again because Harrison Ford was in so much pain and just physically ill and fatigued until eventually they did a scene where he just improvised instead of doing the thing. The choreography went, fuck it. Took out his gun, shot. Everyone thought it was so funny. And since it tested so well, they decided to keep that in the movie instead of the choreographed fight. And it's one of the most iconic moments of all time. Harrison Ford, he's made a lot of those kind of moments, chat. Like, famously, him and Irving Kershner for Empire Strikes Back, like the original script written by Kasdan with Lucas on story, like in the famous scene between Leia and Han expressing their love for each other before Han is frozen carbonite. In the original script, it's Leia saying "I love you," and then Han says "I love you too." And Kershner and Harrison Ford, who kind of rewrote a lot of that script like on the fly while they're making the movie, especially all the stuff with his character and the Bespin stuff and everything, the asteroid, all that. They said that no, that's not what fucking Han Solo would say. He would acknowledge it, but he has to have in that Han Solo. He was saying that Han Solo way, and so instead of saying "I love you too," he says "I know," and it's like it's iconic thing. I just it's amazing. These moments in film history that Harrison Ford was a part of and it had creative control over. Lakota Gamer, you're a great storyteller. Thank you, Lakota Gamer. I'm glad you're enjoying the review. Man, how do you do a scene breakdown? Reminds me of storytellers from powwows. Thank you. That's so kind of you. No, I love doing it. Thankfully, this is a movie that I know pretty well. I do keep notes. I do have notes that I'm kind of like, going back and forth to a little bit. So you might see my eyes starting to dart back or something. But this movie I've seen so many times, I just know it. Just know it. Like snapping my fingers. Like the back of my hand. But we cut back. He fucking kills the guy. Everyone's going, ha, ha, ha. They're all laughing. The dead swordsman chat. Eventually, Indy, he's like, okay. And he's like, I think I know where Marion is. He sees them load her up in the back of a truck at this point, right? And he runs after her. He turns a corner, but this one guy's a fucking machine goes, and he goes like, fucking shit. Like, he fucking panics, chat. But he takes cover. He blasts the guy with his revolver at this point. He grabs the gun, and he fucking, and we see that when they load Marion up in the truck, it's filled with explosives and dynamite and gasoline, chat. A shit ton of gasoline and kerosene, and it's like, ooh, that's a bad combination. And so I think Indy shoots the guy. Something happens where the truck spins out of control. I think maybe the guy gets shot, spins out of control. Maybe Indy had the gun. Maybe he's the one that shot him. And it fucking flips over and big explosion. And he's like, oh no. And Marion is dead, chat. Marion is fucking dead. Oh, God damn it, chap. It blows up. Indy shot. Oh, he shot the driver. So that's what it was. Okay. So Indy shot the driver, gets a hold of the gun, maybe uses his own pistol or something, shoots the driver, car flips over, big explosion. And so at this point, he's like, well, dead girlfriend, need to go ahead and start drinking. And so he goes to a bar, chat. He's got himself a bottle, looks like a bottle of whiskey, and he's just fucking, taking shots. And little monkeys there, little fucking monkey traders like, oh, Indy, I'm so sorry that your lovely lady died. Play with my tummy. And he's just rubbing his tummy. Little does Indy know, chat, that fucking monkey betrayed him. Betrayed Marion, chat. Asshole. I hate the monkey. That might be the biggest villain in the film is the monkey. If I were to rank I'll rank Indiana Jones villains, chat. For right now, I'm going to say monkey number 1, then Belloc, then Tote, and then all the other guys. All the other Nazis. I think I'm going to rank them that way. I think that we can all fucking agree. And this is a great scene because we have that very sad music playing in the background stuff. It's the love music combined with the sad music. So this film, there's one big plot hole in it, which I think is very amusing, but there are some mistakes that you can sometimes see. And in the background, chat, of this scene where Indy is sitting there outside at this outside bar drinking whiskey, you'll notice everyone is wearing Tunisian Cairo garb of the time, except one fucking guy. There's this one guy walking down the street in blue jeans, sunglasses, and like a shirt. And that was one of the crew members who didn't know they were filming. And so they missed that. They missed that, and they're like, all right, fuck it, it doesn't matter. So he's in the background. He's right over Indy's, he's on the left side of the screen. He's on the when you're watching him, he's on over Indy's right shoulder, but on the left side of the screen. You can see like, oh, there he is. You can see him walking right into the shot and right out of frame. It's very funny. But as he's drinking, he's approached by a couple of SS men, some Nazis, some Germans, and they're like, our man would like to speak with you. And he's like, all right, fuck it, whatever, sure, why not? And so he follows them, chat. And, they lead him into the bar. It's like, go and talk with him. And he's going around and he's meeting with all these people. And he's like, he goes up to this one guy. He's like, are you the guy I got to talk to? He goes, ha, 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 ha. Guy just laughs and walks away. And we see, chat, right behind Indy Belloc just smoking a hookah. Hookah, chat, which I have smoked a hookah on a number of occasions. My ex-girlfriend, she was really into hookah and going to like the hookah bars and stuff. I was like, yeah, this is cool. Though apparently, Chad, extremely unhealthy for you. Not good. I think it might be even worse than smoking a cigarette. So he's there. We see Belloc enjoying some, I don't know, some fucking swill. And Smoke is like, Dr. Jones, it's so good to see you again. My condolences to you. He's like, I should fucking kill you. He's like, please, Dr. Jones, take it easy. Sit down. Sit, my friend. And the little monkey suddenly scampers off and goes up the arm of the eye patch guy. He's like, yet again, Dr. Jones, your friends betray you. You must keep better company. And he's like, yeah, company like you do. The Nazis. Really, Belloc? I know you were a piece of shit, but now you're a Nazi piece of shit? And he's like, the Nazis, I am just using them to get to my goal. The Ark of the Covenant. Indy, listen to me. This watch you see here. And he goes on this whole fucking spiel, just monologue, just sounding evil as shit. It's like, if I were to bury this, I bought this on the fucking bazaar. Worthless. If I bury it in the sand for 100 years, someone finds it, it's priceless. It's priceless. We are adventurers, Indy. We are Dr. Jones, whatever the fuck he calls him. We are obsessed with this kind of thing. It's what defines our lives. Would you take the opportunity to work with unscrupulous people in order to find stuff like this? He's like, I ain't working for no goddamn Nazi, okay? I ain't doing it. And he's like, Indy, think of it. The Ark of the Covenant. Not only Hitler, could care less what Hitler does with it. What it really is, it's a box, a communicator to God himself. We can speak to God, Indiana Jones. And he's like, you're fucking crazy. You're insane. And he's like, hey, you want to speak to God? Let's go see him together. And he's about to fucking go, shoot him, chat, right then and there. But then as soon as he comes out, all these fucking guys at the bar reveal that they all these knives and swords and guns all point at Indy. And all these kids come in and go, Indy. It's all Salah's kids at this point. They're going, Indy, no, this is a bad place. You got to come with us, Indy. We love you. We love you, Indy. And he's like, and fucking Belloc is like, saved by children, Dr. Jones. You might not be so lucky next time. And all the guys at the bar are fucking laughing. They're all dragged out. And the monkey, now this is confusing to me, why Indy lets the monkey on his shoulder. I'd be like, fuck you. I would have flung them. I would have grabbed the monkey by the tail and go, bang. I would have brained that little shit, chat. I would have been looking at the eye patch guy and say, hey, watch this. Grab the monkey by the tail, bang, 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 until that little shit is dead. That's what I would have done, Chad, because he's an evil fucking monkey. But he takes him anyway. I'm very confused by that. And they go outside, and Salah's there. Is like, my people said you might be here. And fucking, he's like, Marion's dead. And he goes, I know, Indy. I'm sorry. She was I knew her briefly, but she was an amazing woman. And he's like, but I've talked with the seer, the wise man. We can go over there right now, and he can tell us what we need to do in order to find the Ark of the Covenant. He's like, cool, let's go. And so they go over there, chat. Indy's there talking to the seer. Salah's there. They're going back and forth and shit. Meanwhile, we see one of the kids preparing this big bowl of dates and some wine. He walks out of eye line. He walks out of sight, chat, for a second to get the wine. That's what it is. And the fucking eye patch guy, he walks in, chat, and he's like, he has this little pouch, and he just drizzles the substance on the dates, chat, on the dates. And he gets out of there. He forgets to close the door because the kid's like, what the fuck? Let the door open. Close the door. Grabs the bowl of dates, grabs the wine, brings it into the seer, the mystic man's room, puts it right there. And so Indy, Salah and him are talking. Indy, he grabs a date and is always just about to eat a date, but then Salah says something, and then Indy says something back, and eventually he's about to eat again. And the seer's like, come over here. Yeah, it's like, did your balls not drop, sir? But he has this very high-pitched voice. Come see. And he starts talking about the medallion. And we see the dimensions on it, like what it is on one side, and they're like, okay, well, the Nazis, they somehow have, maybe, so are they using that? Are they using that right there? He goes, oh, no. But on the other side, they turn around, and he says you have to take this much off of it. And so it's like, oh shit, you need both pieces. And We see at one point, there's an earlier scene when Belloc, the Nazis are really frustrated with Belloc because there hasn't been any progress. They haven't found the Ark. And they use and we see when Todt comes up and he's like, Heil Hitler, we see that the fucking medallion has burned itself into his palm. But it has only one of the dimensions on it. It doesn't have they don't have the other half. And so it's great. Thank you, Emily, for the 5 biddies. And for those my pitter patter heart biddies, thank you so much. Let me go ahead and make sure for the 5 biddies, and then for another 10 biddies, and Fire Blast for resubscribing 6 months using that Twitch Prime. Thank you, so that's so kind of you. Sup? How are you doing today? Currently reviewing Raiders of the Lost Ark, one of my favorite movies of all time. Well, because of this, since, they only have one half of the dimensions and they were on Todt's palm, they realized they're digging in the wrong place. And fucking they're like all excited about it. It's like, great, now we have the dimensions. We'll have the right stick. We'll go to the excavation site where they uncovered and where they're, where we think we can find it, and we'll be good. We'll be good. We'll get the fucking Ark of the Covenant. Hell yeah. And, Salah starts, he starts fucking singing shit. And Indy, he throws the date up in the air, about to catch it in his mouth. And Salah grabs that shit out of midair, chat. And we see why. And we look over, chat, and the monkey was just stuffing its fat, evil Nazi monkey face full of all these dates, chat, and it died. It died. It was this leaking blood from every orifice, chat. It shat itself to death, and that's what the monkey deserved, chat. That monkey deserved to shit itself to death, and it died. And fucking Salah, he squeezes the date, and he's like, bad dates. Great fucking iconic line from Salah, chat. So really cool. Really cool. After that, chat, it's the next day. It is the next day. And Indy and Salah are going undercover. They're in all these robes, all this very heavy garb, trying to blend in with the Egyptian diggers who are who have been hired on by the Nazis to help with the excavation. And they're like, okay, we're gonna need this equipment, but we need to get down into the temple. And so they take this rope and they go over to this hole where the temple is. And so Salah lowers him down in there. They have the stick with the right dimensions. Indy has the medallion. He goes down there, and Indy he has his little toolkit, and he's brushing all these holes, and he finds the right hole where he has to put the medallion. And we see this giant diorama of this city, or the various monuments and stuff, and where we reveal the location of the Ark of the Covenant. And Indy, he puts it right in there. He puts it in there, puts the medallion on top, and he has to wait till the sun hits the hole to the entrance of the temple, and it hits it, chat. And we get this. I love that there's that. I just love the music here. It's so ominous and shit and spooky. But we see the sun go over the diorama. We see that the Nazis have defaced it, chat, because they say some kind of fuck you Jews or something like that on it, because they spray paint. It's because they don't. It's so funny. The Nazis are seeking a Jewish artifact, and yet they are so racist against the Jews. It's fascinating to me. We actually see one of the Colonel. What is his name? What is his name? The colonel in the movie. Colonel Dietrich, and he's played by German actor. This is a fucking German name, chat. Wolf Kahler. His name is Wolf Kahler, chat. Jesus, but Colonel Dietrich is Belloc, I am concerned about this Jewish ceremony. Very concerned about, chat. That's later in the movie. But we see that the Nazis have defaced the diorama, all these ancient objects. They don't give a fuck. Savages, chat. Brutes. Those fucking Nazis. But we see it come down, and the sun hits the medallion, and it hits this one particular point where the Nazis are obviously not digging. And he's just yeah, baby. He's really sweaty, and he's wide-eyed. He's woo! Meanwhile, up top, all these Nazis are yelling at Salah. What are you doing over there? What are you doing over there? And he's hating out. Come here. And they fucking push Salah down the hill, and it was very mean. I didn't like it. And while they're doing that, Salah, he's shit, I got to get back to Indy because the rope falls through and Indy can't climb up because he pulls it down. It's shit. He also breaks the stick in half so they don't know what the dimensions are. He throws them away, and he's Salah, where are you? And then Indy's just sitting there going, what the fuck? And then all of a sudden, all these sheets like hit Indy. They're all tied together, and the first one is the Nazi flag. He's like, "What the hell?" And like Indy climbs up, and he's like, "I'm sorry, Indy, I'm sorry, but these men came over and they were harassing me, so I had to go away for a little bit." And they continue walking in the camp, and they're like, "Okay, we know where the location is. We can start digging later this night under the cover of darkness. It'll be perfect. They won't know who we are at all. We'll just do another excavation at this point, right under their noses, and they'll be none the wiser. But we're gonna need to get some tools, okay?" So and he's passing by like all these German soldiers, all these Nazis who are like, "We demand more water. We demand more beer and Wiener Schnitzel and sauerkraut." And so I was like, "Don't worry, my friends. Don't worry, my friends. I'll get you what you need. I'll get you what you need." He's patting them all in the back. They're trying to placate him, and he's like, "Fuck them Nazi bastards." And he goes in this one big tent hoping to find some excavation equipment. And what does he see tied up, chat, looking hot? Marion Ravenwood. And she's there. She's like, "Ugh. And she's like, "Oh my God, Marion." And he like, he goes down to her level and he's like hugging her and like, just kissing and shit at that point. And he's like, "Oh, Marion, you won't believe it. I fucking found it. I found it. Found the ark. We can start digging. Hey, it's going to be great. But let me get you out of here." She's like, "Fucking fantastic. This is wonderful news. This is wonderful news." He's like, "I'm so happy you're alive." But he stops and he goes, "You know what? On second thought, if I free you, they're going to be searching the camp the entire time. So I'm going to keep you here for now while we get the ark." And she's like, what the fuck you talking?" He's like, "I promise I'll come back for you. I swear to God." He's like, head kiss. I love you. I love you. I'll marry you in the 4th movie." And he leaves. And she's like, "Fuck you, asshole." But in hindsight, "Are you crazy?" That's right. She says, "Are you crazy?" But in hindsight, it makes sense because if she suddenly leaves, the whole fucking camp will go into lockdown, chat, and they'll be searching every person trying to find her. And she's a very important person that they want to find, especially Belloc, because Belloc has a fucking hard-on for Marion, chat. My lord. He becomes obsessed with her in this movie. But they find, Indy and Sala. They get all of the excavation equipment they need. They hire all these diggers. They go into the location, and they just fucking start digging, chat. They fucking start digging. There's this... And Indy does something stupid here, but it's such an iconic looking. The wide shots in this movie, especially in the desert, look so good. But they're like, you have these Egyptians singing this song as they're digging up this giant stone tablet, which is, the entrance to the temple, the Ark of the Covenant. And that you have this song and this beautiful fucking sunset, all the orange and yellows, chat, gold. And we see Indy like taking off the disguise he was wearing and putting his hat on. And it's such a fucking great shot. It's beautiful. It's one of my favorite shots in the movie, chat. He's digging. He's digging with him, too. Now, why Indy decided to take off all his clothes, revealing his very obvious Indiana Jones outfit is beyond me. It's like, why'd you do that? Why'd you do that? Might have been a mistake. But, yeah, he does it, chat. But meanwhile, we cut to the tent of Belloc, chat. Where she's tied up in his tent, Marion Ravenwood, and he unties her and he's like, "I must apologize for these Nazis. They have no manners." She's like, "You're goddamn right they don't." And he brings her dinner and everything, and she just fucking goes hard. She's like, "Yeah, give me that fucking shit." She just starts stuffing her face, chat. She's like, "This is good. This is fucking good shit. I like this." And he's like, before you continue to eat, I wish you to put on this lovely dress." She's like, "You want me to wear that? You want me to wear that fucking dress?" He goes, "I would very much like to see you in this dress." She goes, all right, man, I can be fucking ladylike." And she grabs the fucking dress. Very, very beautiful, very beautiful. And she goes behind this, I forget this curtain, but basically this blocker. But fucking Belloc is a peeping Tom. Tom, why you peeping? Because he adjusts the mirror in such a way where he watches her undressed, and you see her bazoongas, you see her bare back, you see her ass and everything, them thick cheeks. And he's just talking. He's like, yeah, take your time, Marion. Take all the time you need. And eventually, she comes out and she's looking all pretty. She's like, "Marion, you are beautiful." She goes, "Yeah, you're a charmer too." And she continues eating. And while they're doing this, though, she notices like a fucking really sharp knife. And she's like, "I'm going to take that. I'm going to save this for later." And he's like, "Would you like a drink for with your food?" And she's like, "Hell yeah, man, I like a drink." And he fucking pours her, I don't know what this is. Yeah, she's gorgeous in this. She looks absolutely stunning in this movie. And I just love it. She's like, "Yeah, what the fuck? I'm going to keep eating. What do you want from me? What do you want from me?" But he poured, is it gin? I don't know what this stuff is. It looks like gin to me. Can anyone find out what that alcohol is they're drinking? I imagine it is. I mean, it's definitely that's liquor. You know, it ain't no fucking champagne. Is it whiskey? No, it's clear though. It's not whiskey. It's clear. That's why I'm thinking that might be gin. I don't think that's whiskey. I remember I've seen this movie very recently, and I was like, that is maybe it could be vodka. You're right, could be vodka. I think it's vodka or either gin. But he pours himself a little glass. He pours her one glass, and he takes a little. And she's like, yeah, all right, cool. And she just fucking downs this entire thing, and she's like, glug, 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 glug. Yeah, right. And he's like, yeah. He's coughing and shit. And she grabs the bottle and she pours him over. And this is her fucking plan. She's like, I'm going to get this fucking guy drunk off his ass and then stab him to death and just take off running. Not a bad plan, Mary. Not a bad plan. And we're cutting like back and forth between, this scene and, Indiana Jones and Sala. But we'll focus on this scene for now. They keep fucking drinking to the point where they're so drunk, they're just laughing at random shit. Oh, fun fact. Most of this scene, including all the dialogue between Karen Allen and Paul Freeman, was improvised. A lot of this scene, like the whole everything, they had certain things they wanted to use, like the dress and stuff like that. And Renee Belloc, like looking at her in the mirror. But most of this dialogue between them is improvised. And it feels so natural. It feels great. And everyone's like, we are laughing. And she's like pretending, she's like, this ain't nothing for me. This is like a Monday afternoon drink. I can handle this swill. And, she's like pouring it. She fucking pours the drink. It's not even in her glass and stuff. And he goes, you know what? Oh, she's like, this stuff, what is this stuff? This is some hard stuff here, Belloc. He goes, yeah, this is my family's brand. I grew up with this. I drank it all the time. And so she's like, oh, revealing that I ain't fucking drunk, girl. I know what you're trying to do to me. It's like, this might as well be water. Great fucking reveal right there. And she's like, all right, that plan's not working. And she just pulls out a fucking knife and he goes, and she goes, yeah. Well, listen, man, I'll see you later, okay? See you on the fucking flip side. And she turns around, Chad, and who is there? Tote. And he grabs it and goes, Fraulein, so good to see you again. And she's like, motherfucker. And she like runs back to Paul Freeman. She runs back to Belloc, who's like, oh, that's fine. He's fine. And then Totes like has these two guards right by his side, by his right and by his left. And he takes them. He's like, I must talk to you. And he takes out this device, Chad. It's like, oh, it's like a torture thing. He's going to beat them. He's going to stab her or something. But he like flips it around. It's just a fucking clothes hanger for his coat, which he takes off. It's such a great little gag, Chad. And he hangs it up right there. And he sits down. He's like, well, what were we talking about? And then eventually we cut back to Indiana Jones and Sala. This is the first big blue screen shot, and this is one of the more dated aspects of the movie. It's this scene and at the very end. There's two big blue screen segments. This is the big one where as they're opening up the giant stone tablet, which reveals the temple below them, we see this blue screen, and it's thundering and lightning in the background and shit. And Sala with all the other workers are putting these giant crowbars in there, and they're lifting us up, and they're like, and Sala's just like, and then he's like, come on, guys, put your backs into it. Come on, do it. It's like, Indy, fuck you. How about you grab a fucking crowbar and help your main man, your main boy, Sala? Come on, man. But they open up, and apparently it's never been opened, and you have all this ancient fucking air just go, just escape from it, chap. But they remove it. They remove the giant stone tablet. They push it to the fucking side. And Indy and Sala, and they look down. And, that's the thing, too. Like a lightning bolt, goes off. Lightning. And it illuminates this Anubis statue. And it's like, And Sala's like, And he looks at Indiana Jones. He's like, I'm sorry, Indy. I'm sorry, I shat myself. And then Sala's looking down. He's like, Indy, why does the floor move? And then he like grabs a torch and he throws it in there. And all down there, chat, snakes. The entire fucking temple, top to fucking bottom, chat, covered in snakes. And Indy's like, oh, snakes. Why'd it have to be snakes? And Sala looks down and goes, asps. Very dangerous. You go first. I love their dynamic. It's so good. So, fun fact about this film, chat. Initially, they only had 2,000 snakes, but it wasn't nearly enough to cover the temple. And so they were filming this at Pinewood Studios at the time. She had this particular sequence. This is why you have the blue screen there. And they filmed all the outside stuff in Tunisia. And so Spielberg requested all of like the crew to go and make calls to various pet stores around the entirety of the UK, chat. From fucking, Wales to England to Scotland to Ireland for snakes. He wanted 7,000 more snakes, and they got 8,000, chat. And so there are 10,000. There are some fake snakes in this scene, you can tell, but there are 10,000 live snakes on this set. It's fucking nuts. I'm afraid I have to log off. No problem. We're gonna have a great evening. And so I was like, wow, that blows my fucking mind. And so they throw some torches down there, and they're lowering Indy down on a fucking rope. And Sala's like, "Be careful, Indy!" And then he's like, "Oh shit!" And like some of the rope kind of fucking like Indy falls and shit. He goes, boom! It lands right on the ground, shit. And right in front of him, this fucking Croba's like, "Who the fuck are you, bitch?" And he's like, "Oh, oh." And this is a real snake. Now, how they did this scene, we see this scene repeated twice in the movie. Once of Indiana Jones, and then another time with Marion Ravenwood. What it is, Harrison Ford is facing a king cobra, chat, a cobra snake. However, there is a translucent blocker between them, keeping this snake separate from Harrison Ford. And it's the plexiglass. Yeah, it's brilliant plexiglass. It's translucent glass. And he like gets up slowly as this thing's looking at him. So it's a real snake. Now this scene's repeated a bit, but you actually see it with in the Marion Ravenwood scene. You see the snake's reflection in the plexiglass. But here you do not see it. The lighting is so perfect that you cannot see it. And he fucking gets up. And they lower down this kerosene. It's like, it's not gasoline. I think it's kerosene. Or maybe it is gas. No, it's kerosene. And he starts spraying. He's like, yeah, fuck you, little shits. He starts spraying all this kerosene, all the snakes, and he throws a torch in them and goes, and they're like, eh! And he's like burning them alive and shit. Eventually, Sala comes down there, and they make themselves a path where they believe it's towards the Ark, chat. And they see this. It's in this giant, what looks like this giant stone sarcophagus. And they go up to it, and there's like this is a really cool little Easter egg here. You might notice it, chat. On Indiana Jones's, over his right shoulder, there's this one pillar, and it has like all these hieroglyphics on it, or these carvings on the pillar with all the carvings on like right next to his right shoulder is a picture of C-3PO and R2-D2 from Star Wars. It's right over there. I was like, oh, look at that. I see that. Nice little wink and a nod to George Lucas's film. They get these giant fucking like logs that they remove the top of the sarcophagus. It falls over. It's super fucking heavy. And they just fucking dump that shit. It's like fucking out of sight, out of mind. And we have this unnaturally golden glow emanating from the sarcophagus, chat. And they take these like giant like pillars, like the, I guess, like planks, rounded planks, and they put them on the side of the Ark. And they like, and they lift it up, and it's like, and it's like, wow, it looks so cool. It's like made of gold and shit. It looks fucking awesome, chat. And they're fucking carrying this thing all the way back to the entrance, chat. They load this fucking shit up, take it back up. Sala, he climbs up, chat, but suddenly all the fucking ropes just fall as soon as Sala gets back up there. And Indy's like, Sala, what's going on? And then he looks up and he sees Belloc going, Indy, hello, my friend, so good to see you. Also, Belloc, this is weird to me because Belloc is just like walking Because he's upset with Tote and the Nazis for interrupting his evening with Marion, and they're also upset with him at this point because he hasn't found the Ark, and he's like, you're being distracted by the Fraulein, Frenchman. He's like, I am Belgian, not French. And he's like, archaeology is not an exact science. You know, if it was up to you, you would use a bulldozer to find a China cup or so, you know, like something, whatever the hell it is, like a single China cup or whatever. Making that reference, and he sees like some people off in the distance, like digging something up. He's like, "What the fuck's going on? I didn't green light that." And that's when they run over there. And Renee's like, "Hello, Indiana Jones. Hello. Quite the predicament that we find ourselves in yet again, indeed." And he's like, "Ha ha, you son of a bitch." I love it. And he's like, at this point, Dr. Jones, this will have to be our last meeting. Maybe if I dig you up in 100 years, you'll even be worth something. And as they're moving the giant stone tablet covering up, basically to lock Indy in there, they're like, Tote's like, hold on a minute. You can have this bitch. And he fucking throws in Marion, and she's like, ah! And even Belloc's like, no, I'm horny. I'm so horny. And he's like, no. And she grabs on, because we see like her shoe like land the snake pit, but she manages to grab onto one of the Anubis statues, like, oh, fucking shit. But that gives way under her weight, and she falls down, boom, and is face to face with the Cobra. And she's like, oh, and she fucking freaks out. We do see the Cobra's reflection, the plexiglass. And I love this scene when she's like literally climbing on Indy going, God. And he's like, Marion, please. I loved it. So good. Not gonna lie, she's still sexy as fuck. Yeah, she looks great. She looks great. And, you know, at this point, you know, Belloc's like, Marion, my dear, I am so sorry it came to this. And she's like, fucking get us out of here. Just come down. He's like, I must bid you adieu. And he walks away as they're soon up the temple chat. And we just hear Marion go, no! And it's like cut out as soon as the tablet is put back on top. And it's like, oh shit, they're locked in there forever. And she's like, what the fuck are we gonna do? Because Indy gives her a torch. She's like, listen, I gotta destroy some cultural artifacts to escape. She's like, what are you talking about? Give me a minute. Keep the snakes at bay. I'm fucking terrified of them. I have a snake phobia. And so she's keeping all these fucking serpents at, like her dress catches on. She's like, you're on fire. Like her dress catches on fire at one point. And Indy has like rip that shit off. He's like, come here. He rips the fucking dress off. Like at least part of it. And so now it's revealing them thick thighs, Chad, of Marion Ravenwood. And he climbs up this Anubis statue, Chad, and he uses his own thick, manly thighs to like destroy this giant statue, and goes boom, and it falls forward, Chad, into this next room, basically creates a hole. Right before, like, then she's like, Indy, the torch is going out. And so he also goes forward in the Anubis statue, chat, and he goes inside the temple. And Indy's like, I want to get the fuck out of here. So she follows him in, but she loses track of him at this point. And she's like looking around and stuff. And she's like, oh, Jesus. Like she sees like something scary on the wall. And she's like, okay, it's fine. She like this thing like that's in front of her just like drops forward, and it's a fucking body, Chad. It's a mummified body. So when they built this temple, they killed all the workers, Chad, and stuffed them in here. And she just freaks the fuck out as all these bodies are going, they're falling forward, just all these dead people, Chad. We see this one amazing fucking shot of this giant snake going through the mouth of one of the decomposing body shit. It's so fucking good. And she's losing her goddamn mind, as any of us would be. She's like, yeah, giant ass python, some of a dead corpse's mouth. Until Indy to fucking grab her. She's like, I found a way. She's like, get the fuck out of here. And they go. And they find like this little slit of sunlight, and they push these giant rocks over at this point, and they see like they're right near this kind of airstrip section. And he's like, they're fucking loading the Ark onto the plane. They're going to take it back to Berlin. We can't let that fucking plane go off the ground, okay? We got to stop it, Marion. And so they both go out there. And at this point, like, we gotta destroy this fucking plane. Marion, she climbs on top of it trying to avoid everybody. Indy, he's kind of starts fuck, but people spot him. They're like, hey, what the fuck are you doing? And he's trying to, like, you know, he knocks one guy out of a fucking wrench. But then this fucking giant German Übermensch, this super soldier just, like, walks out, Chad. He's like, finally, someone that I can crush. It's like Arnold Schwarzenegger side. And he just waddles up to Indy, who's trying to, like, stop the plane at this point. Or does he want to fly? I forget if he wants to fly the plane or stop the plane, but it doesn't matter. But this guy, Indy sees this guy, he's like, holy fucking shit. And then we get in this big fucking brawl between Indiana Jones and the German super soldier, the Übermensch. Indy just punches him, and the guy's like, that didn't hurt me, you know. And he just goes, bam, right in the Indy's like, right here. And he just like sits, he just falls on his ass, and he goes, ow. Ow. At one point, this one guy who's in the cockpit, he has a pistol, and the plane's like going at this point. It's like spinning around. They accidentally like moved the breakers on it, and so it's constantly spinning around a circle at this point as Indy and the Übermensch are fighting. Marion manages to knock out the pilot. And the pilot seat throws him out, and she gets in there, but then it clamps down on her, and she's like, oh, fucking shit. And all these, like, German soldiers show up. They're about to, like, arrest Indy and her, and she gets on the fucking machine gun. She just starts firing at them, like, killing them all. But when she does this, it also... she hits like this giant gasoline tank, and all this fucking gasoline starts like coming towards them. It's like, that's probably not good. That's probably bad. And Indy keeps, fighting with this giant Übermensch man, and Indy's just getting his ass. There's some great, like, Indy's just like, okay, I can't punch this guy. I have to just fucking trick him. And like Indy's like literally like looking down going, what's that? What's that down there? And the guy's like, what? And he just goes, pah! He's fighting fucking dirty, chat. Like, he's grabbing his balls and twisting and shit. He's doing everything he fucking can. Ducky and Henry, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the 212 biddies. LeVar Burton, level story 10. Thank you! Ducky and Henry with the 212 biddies. Very kind of you. And the unicorn biddies as well. But at this point, like, Indy's like, okay, I'm getting my ass kicked. I can't beat this guy. But this German guy, he was overconfident, shit. His overconfidence would be his undoing. He's like, get up, do it, we must fight. And Indy sees one of the fucking giant propellers coming towards the guy. And Indy's like, oh, fucking shit. And he just gets in the fetal position. The guy's like, huh? Turns around, goes, ah! And we just see this blood spray, chat, as this giant Übermensch, this giant Nazi is just ripped to fucking meaty, chunky pieces, shit. And it's funny because we don't really see too much, but you let your mind come up with what happened. That spray of blood. There's a lot of scenes like that in the series, especially in the first, the trilogy. In Temple of Doom, when you have the one giant cultist guy go, like, he's like smushed to death. He's crushed by the big roller, and he's like, ew. He's the big bloody meaty spot when it rolls back over. A PG movie, folks. The guy got sliced and diced by a plane propeller. Indy, though, he sees that Marion's trap. He goes up there, unlatches it. He's like, we got to get going. He grabs her. They run off. And they take cover. Well, the plane just goes, just fucking explodes at that point, chat. And it was like, oh, geez. And this is while, we had fucking Colonel Dietrich or whatever and Belloc, and, they want to take the thing to Berlin at this point, but the thing explodes, and Belloc's like, Jones is responsible for this. And it's like, let's load the fucking Ark up on the truck now. And so they put the Ark on the truck, and it takes off. It's going down this road. Eventually, Sala, he's walking around, he's all sad and shit, but Indy's like calls him over. He's like, Indy, you're alive. I am so happy to see you. He's like, Sala, I know, it's great to see you. I love you, buddy. But we got to know, like, with the Ark, where is the Ark? And he's like, it's going out of Cairo. It's on a truck. He's like, what are you talking about? I thought they're going to take a plane. He's like, no, they're not doing that. They're going to a secret base somewhere out in the Mediterranean, and they're going to take it there. And he goes, fucking shit. We need to get that truck. We need that truck. And they're like looking up, they're scoping it out, and Asala is like, what are you going to do? And Indy's like, I don't know. I'm just making up as I go along. It's fucking great. He's like, I have no fucking clue, but I'm going to use a horse for it, chat. And so he gets on a horse, and we get one of the best chase sequences in film ever. It's up there. It's like top 5. I love this shit. And so much of it, chat. It's practical. It's practical effects. It's stunt work. It's trick shots to make you think you're seeing something but not. And it's brilliant. It's brilliant, chat. Where Indy's on this fucking horse. He's riding out, chat. He's riding on this goddamn thing. Eventually, he gets onto the truck. He rides up fucking behind it, gets on there, goes inside the truck, throws one fucking guy out, just get the fuck out of here. And he starts punching the driver like, get the fuck out, you fucking punches, and throws him out. And they go like, ah! and everything. He's in control of the truck. Meanwhile, all the guys who are guarding the Ark, they're in the truck, and they're like, okay, we got to get over there. We got to get over there and try to get him out of our truck. But meanwhile, we see that in front of him, we have Colonel Diedrich, we have Belloc, and we have Tote, and they're in the car in front of Indy at this point, and they're going, oh my fucking God, he won't die. He's like a fucking cockroach. He's an American cockroach. But we have all these guys on these motorcycles, the little sidecars, and they're trying to get on. Indy just fucking hits them with the fucking truck, and they're like, ah, they're crashing and shit. At one point, Indy hits this one other car, and it just careens off in this fucking cliff. Oh, they're all fucking dead at that point, chat. Kicking all these guys' asses. And then and then at this point, all the guys in the back of the truck, they're climbing on the sides of it, trying to get to Indy. Indy sees this, and he hits the truck against all these palm trees, and they're like, and they get hit by these palm trees, shatter, and get like palm tree wood, like, all in their German Nazi tummies, and they fall down like dead and stuff. Honestly, they got off lucky because they could be a lot worse. I mean, you don't want to be at the secret Jewish ceremony when you're getting your face melted. So having a bit of palm tree wood in your gullet is not too bad, but they're getting thrown off. So this one fucking guy's like, okay, this one elderly looking Nazi, he's like, I gotta be smarter about this. And so he goes in from the top, Chet. He goes in from the fucking top. He starts climbing on top of it. Then he lowers himself down, and then he goes and he opens the door. Boom! Shoots fucking Indy right in the shoulder. Blood spray, and it looked like it hurts. And he just goes, and this guy is like, he's like the MVP. He's like, I'm gonna fucking do the best I can. And he just starts wailing on Indy's shoulder. Boom, boom. And he's like, ah! And and Harrison Ford's acting is so good, and it looks so fucking painful as he's just hitting him again and again and again. And eventually, the Nazi, he just fucking throws Indiana Jones through the windshield, chat. And so now he's on the hood of the fucking car like this, and he's holding on to the grill of it like, it's like, oh shit. And like the grill portion at the front is like falling away. It's like breaking. But he's just like, oh fuck, what the fuck am I gonna do? And we see Belloc, and we see Colonel Dietrich, and we see Tote like, ram us from behind, take that for what you will, chat. And the guy's like, okay, because they're going to smush Indy. They're going to smush Indy with the cars, chat. And so we get a brilliant fucking stunt where Indy lowers himself from the grill, goes underneath the car, and is just grabbing the piping one after the other, chat. And it's all practical effects. This is what I'm talking about when it comes to aesthetics. If that scene was done today, if that scene was done in Indiana Jones, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, it would all be CGI. It would all be CGI, and it would not look good, and you know it's CGI. This is a practical effect here, and it holds up to this day. It's incredible. And he crawls down this. He ties his whip around the back of the car, this one pipe, lets go of himself, and he's being dragged on the ground, just tearing off his dick and all that shit. You can imagine, Chad, the rug burn, the road burn it is. And he pulls himself back to the fucking car at this point, Chad. Gets in there, gets on top of the fucking car, goes through it again, starts beating the shit out of a guy, throws him through the fucking window, and he's holding on for dear life. But he grabs the same spot that Indy grabbed earlier that's loosened, and he falls, and Indy rides over him twice for each wheel check, crushing his Nazi balls and dick all the way up to his tummy and face until he's just a bloody Nazi splooge smear, and he's dead. And he's like, fuck these guys. And he's like, he constantly keeps ramming, chat, not in a sexual way, in a non-sexual way, chat, keeps ramming Belloc's car until they're finally forced off the road. And he continues to cake off. Eventually, the driver, they're like, oh, fuck you, stupid Nazi driver. Chase after him. They chase after him, chat. But apparently, the town of Cairo says, we love Indiana Jones. He fucked up our laundry one day, but we realized that he was just looking for his lady love. His alcoholic lady love. And so we're going to help him. And so all of the people of Cairo have gotten together, and like when Indy goes into this like one little warehouse or something, they completely like covered it up and like just made it look like a regular bazaar. And then when Belloc's car finally gets there, rides up, and it's like, everyone's like, you want melons? Would you like a melon, sir? And everyone's like fucking pissed. Like Colonel Dietrich takes it. He's like, fuck your melons. Interesting scene here. So if you'll notice, Chad, Tote, the actor who plays Tote, who suffered from a number of illnesses throughout his life. His name was Ronald Lacey. He also had a colostomy bag while he filmed this movie because he was so sick. He's not in this scene because he was suffering from dysentery at the time. And you'll notice, like, I don't know why they just didn't use a body double, but you'll notice his clothes are literally just stacked on like a, I don't even know how to describe it, Chad. It looked like a coat hanger or something. It's like a something you hang your hat on. Like it just looked like this. It's just a bunch of clothes all just kind of clumped up and at the side. It's like, that's not a fucking guy there. It's so weird. And then when they drive away, you see Tote again, like all dressed up. It's very odd. I was like, Anyway, they drove away. They lost the Ark at this point. We then cut, and it's at night. Sala has apparently hired on a captain, possibly pirate, Captain Kanaga. I want to say his name is Katanga. What's this man's name, Chat? His name is Simon Katanga. George Harris, which I wish I would have seen more of this character. He's very interesting to me. He's like I don't know. He's like a bit of a rogue, but he's a rogue of a heart of gold. And he's like, yeah, I have history of piracy, but I want to do right by my clients. Like, he's pretty cool. I want to see more of him, but we never did. And he's like, don't worry, we have the Ark in storage. We're on our way. We're gonna go ahead to the UK. It'll be no problem. Smooth fucking sailings at this point. And then Marion and Indy was just fucked up. He's like, I'm exhausted. They're saying their goodbyes. Indy thanks Sala. He's like, Indy, I love you, my brother. And they're fucking hugging. And Marion's like, Sala, this is for your wife. Mwah. This is for your children. Mwah. And this is for you. And she just open mouth kisses him, Chad. Just a sloppy, open mouth Marion Ravenwood kiss. And he's like, I am the one these on these head. And he is just fucking happy about it. He's sitting to whoever. He's singing for himself, chat. And he walks up on these bunch of guys who are just like, shooting the shit. And he comes up and goes, come here. He fucking kisses him. And they're like, They all start fucking laughing. Great goddamn night. Eventually, we cut to Indy and Marion's bedroom on the ship. And Marion's like, Indy, I want to have sex now. I want all the sex. And he's like, Marion, I'm so tired and my penis has rug burn. It's almost shredded off by all the gravel. She's like, I want sex now. And this is great. It's kind of like Three Stooges shit. Because Indy's like looking at his fucking face and he's like, oh, Jesus Christ. And like all the bumps and bruises and cuts and everything. And she like flips it over. She's like, I want to look at my bazungas. And she flips it and goes, boom, and it hits him in the chin. He goes, and we cut outside the ship. Ah! Just another fucking injury. She's like, did you say something? And he goes, and he's like laying back down. She's like, look at you, old broken piece of shit. And he's like, what's the famous line from the movie? It's not the years, honey. It's the mileage, which is true. He actually is a young man. Indy's supposed to be like a young man here. And he just is laying down and she's, she's like, applying like whatever medicinal shit to his wounds. He's like, ow, that hurts. And he's like, where doesn't it hurt? Where doesn't it hurt? And he's like, here. And she goes, all right. A nice little kiss on the head. And he's like, here, like on my eyeball. And she goes, all right. And it just sucks out his eyeball. Ah! And she's like, here. And he kisses his eyeball. And he goes, here. And she goes, ah! And they fucking open mouth kiss, chat. And it's a hot kiss. And she's like, oh, here we fucking go. Hot sex time. And then he fucking passes out. He's like, oh. And she's like, oh, we just can't catch a break, can we? It's like, God damn it. Oh, the elbow. Yeah, she kisses the elbow. That's true. Kisses the elbow, then the head, then the eyeball, and then the lips. But they fucking sleep. I imagine they had sex sometime. I imagine it happened later in the evening, Chad. He just needed a little nap. He needed to recharge and have his peen skin regrow, Chad. Thankfully, Chad, men are like lizards. If we lose a lot of peen skin, grows back in a few hours. So don't worry about it, Chad. No problem whatsoever. But then it's the next morning, and they're hearing like all these people like freaking out, like they hear all this running, and Indy like he walks out and goes, "What the fuck's going on?" And they're like, "It's the Nazis. They found us." And they're like, "Ah, shit!" And so Indy he goes outside of Captain Kanaga or Katanga, excuse me, and it's a Nazi fucking U-boat, and he's like, "Shit!" And Captain Tanaga's like, "They're after the Ark. Stay hidden, okay? We'll take care of this, all right? Might have to give that up, but they don't know you're here." So Captain Tanaga, good fucking guy, Chad. Good. Oh, by the way, after the smooch scene with Indy and Marion Ravenwood, we cut to the Ark in the box. And apparently the Ark's like, I don't like all this Nazi symbology, chat. Good old Old Testament God. Good old Yahweh, chat, as he's also known as, is like, yeah, get this fucking shit off of me. And we see all the rats in the cargo, and they go, What did you do to that rat to make it go in that scene? And the literal power of the Ark burns away the Nazi symbol because it is fucking evil, chat, obviously. Gotta get rid of that fucking evil Nazi symbol. And then when we cut to this in the morning, and, Captain Tonga's like, hide. His ship is boarded by the Nazis. They're opening up all these latches and shit, all these doors. They're all surrendering. All the pirates, all the crew surrendering. They get them all out there, and they start like they find the Ark. They get on a winch and they start moving it over. Indy is about to go back to the room to get Marion because he wants to hide. He wants to get her so they can hide together. But the Nazis get there first, and they drag her out of the fucking thing. Colonel Dutch is like, Miss Ravenwood, so good to see you again. She slaps the shit out of him. He's like, take her aboard, and they're marching out. And we see that Indy's hiding in one of like the smokestacks, like looking out what the Nazis are doing as they're taking the Ark. And at this point, Belloc's also there, and he's like, I'm going to take Marion Ravenwood. And Captain Kanaga, and also talking to Colonel Dietrich. But Captain Katanga, he's like, okay, I gotta play this the right way. And he says, please, my crew has lost everything. Keep the girl with us. We wish to play with her. He's not really going to rape her or anything, chat. He's doing this for her own benefit. A lot of people think, oh, he's going to rape her. It's like, no, he's saying that so the Nazis won't take her. But, fucking Colonel Dutch is like, you disgust me. No, we will have our own way with the Fraulein. And they take her aboard the U-boat along with the Ark. But then we see that the Indy's peeking out of the blowhole or the smokestack. There's Nazi smoke in there, and he just fucking throws it in. It's like, and it hits Indy in the head. But eventually, like, the fucking U-boat's like going away. It's like, all right, it's gonna go under soon. And then one of the Captain Katanga's crew members comes up, and Captain Katanga's like, did you find Indy? Did you find Dr. Jones? And they're like, we didn't find him, sir. And he's like, where could it be? And the guy goes, I found him, sir. He's like, where did you find him? He's there. And he points, chat, and Indy is on top of the submarine, and he's on it, and they're going, yay, Indy, you're doing it. And this is the big plot hole in the movie. Again, and Spielberg admits, they realized for this scene, they didn't consider it when they were writing the script. And it was only when they were filming, they went, oh, fucking shit. What are we going to do? Because they always had the U-boat. They always had this boat. And they're like, oh, God, the U-boat's going to go underwater. How's Indy going to hold on to this thing? And so they never show the U-boat. Spielberg said, I never showed the U-boat going underwater because that's what a U-boat obviously would do. It's a fucking submarine, but I did it, and I tried to trick the audience. And it makes sense. Like, it's a thing that I'm not holding, like, and that's why this movie sucks. It's like, no, they legitimately did not see the problem until they were doing it, and they're like, oh, shit. And so it's just some editing that they did where they have Indy on the submarine, and then they cut to the map again, where the red line going from where they were in Cairo and going back and forth until they're off an island, like near in Greece, somewhere like right off of Crete or something. Which is where, the Minotaur story takes place, at the island of Crete. And then we see like this secret fucking like James Bond underwater secret base where the U-boat goes through. Did they film a scene where they show Indy going to the U-boat, but they cut it? No, they didn't show. They didn't film it. They're like, there's nothing, we can't do anything. He can't go inside the U-boat. It's all locked up. And so they just purposely did not show anything because he couldn't get open. Now that would have solved it, you suppose, but it was all locked up. I mean, that could have been it. He just opens it. But at the same time, you got to think of like how pressurized it is. And the Nazis would obviously be down there where he would crawl through. And so they couldn't see that. So they were like, It's a plot hole. It's a plot hole, legitimately a plot hole, but one that you got to be like, you got to go with it. You got to go with it. So they just never went underwater, chat. The Nazis have control over the Mediterranean. And they're like, we proudly want to show off our big dick submarine. So they go to this little island, the secret base. They load the fucking Ark out of there. They take Marion Ravenwood out. But Colonel Dietrich, he's like a little concerned at this point. He's like, because Belloc, he wants to perform a ceremony to try to invoke the power of the Ark. And Colonel Dietrich's like, I am uncomfortable about this ceremony you wish to perform, Belloc. This Jewish ceremony. And Belloc's like, listen, man, why not do it here? Okay, see if the Ark is this weapon of legend. And like, okay, or you could take it to Berlin and possibly it doesn't work and you'll disappoint the Führer. What choice do you want to make? And he's like, point taken, Belgian. And it's like, all right, we're going to do the fucking ceremony. Meanwhile, Indy has gotten out of the U-boat. He's like hiding behind fucking crates and shit. And he fucking just takes this little Nazi kid and goes punch, punch, punch. Little Hitler Youth steals his clothes. But Indiana's just too fucking thick. And he can't he's like, oh, fucking shit. He can't button the uniform. And this one Nazi officer is finds him and screaming and just basically saying, you look like a piece of shit. You're a sloppy, sweaty piece of shit. And he's like, yeah, man. I go, punch. And he fucking knocks the hell out of him, takes his hat, and he starts walking around. And then he gets the uniform to fit, and he starts following this line of Nazi soldiers led by Belloc and Todt and Colonel Dietrich, and they're going to this location where they're going to test out the Ark's powers. And he's right behind the procession, right at the end. But they come to this little weapons depot, and he takes a right, and he grabs this RPG, and we cut to from above, following them. And we see Indy on top of this fucking cliff go, hello! And everyone's like, oh, shit! And Belloc's like, Jones! And at this point, it's like, I'll blow it to hell, Belloc! I'll blow it all to hell. I'll blow right back to God. And if you want to see him so bad. And this is great. This scene's great for so many reasons, because Belloc's talking to Indy, and Paul Freeman was so into the scene, he didn't want to break character, that you literally see a fly on his face and goes into his mouth, and he eats the fly, and he never breaks character. He just eats that shit while he's giving all his dialogue. And if you look in the background, which is really funny to me, you see Todt is like, I don't give a shit. And he literally just waddles over to this rock and just sits down like this. Just like, whatever, man, blow it to hell. It's so fucking funny to me. He's like, I don't give a shit. Do it, fucking, just do it. Do it. But Belloc's like, listen, Indiana Jones, Dr. Jones, you are like me. Don't you want to see the power of the Ark to communicate with God himself? Go ahead, blow it back to God. Kill this opportunity for all of us, or we can enjoy this moment together. We can achieve what few humans have dreamt of, have ever experienced, if ever experienced. And he's like, oh, fuck, I really want to talk to God and shit. And so at this point, he lowers the RPG. And these fucking, soldiers are like, all right, they were smart. They were like, oh, shit. They apparently were coming off the cliff face anyway, chat. And they confront him. And they get Indy. And they take him prisoner. They then tie Indy and Marion Ravenwood up to this, pillar. Have these ropes behind, connected to them, have their arms tied behind their back, their hands tied behind their back, just like this. As the Nazis have set up all this camera equipment, they're going to start filming and shit. We see that Belloc is in front of the Ark. He's dressed up in this ceremonial Hebrew robe, ancient Hebrew robe. And we also see, or Judea robe. We also see Dietrich on one side of him and Todt on the other side. And fucking Belloc just starts, speaking all this shit, just saying all this stuff over and over like this. He does this Jewish prayer. You was seeing this Hebrew prayer, and they remove the Ark at this point, and they remove the top of it. They remove the top, and Indy's like, "Don't fuck." This is weird to me. I don't know. He's like a pope. Yeah, he's I think it's he's dressed like a Hebrew priest, like an ancient Judea priest. Now I don't know why Indy suddenly says, "Marion, cover your eyes. Don't look at it. Don't look at it." I don't know if this might be another plot hole. I don't know what it might have been early in the movie. Was it ever said? Did any ever said we can't look inside the Ark? I don't recall. But anyway, it doesn't matter. They remove it, and fucking Belloc, he puts his hand inside of it, and it's just sand. It's just sand. And Toad's just like, you fucking dumb Belgian bitch. There's nothing in there but sand. And Diedrich, he puts his hand in there, he's like, he throws it. But then all this fucking weird shit starts happening. This is the next big major blue screen here. All this lightning starts, all these storm clouds start circling around them and stuff. And then they start to see these things like pew, 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 just shoot out of the arch at these big balls of light. And they're like going around Todt and Colonel Diedrich and Belloc and all the Nazi soldiers and shit. And they're like, what the fuck is going on? All the camera equipment, all the electronics are fucking malfunctioning. It's for the eyes. It's for the eye. You can't look God in the eye face, Chris. Fair enough. Oh, or he'll melt you. We know why. We now know why, chat. We now know why. Thank you, the Harbor One. 30 biddies. Thank you so much. And that coverage. Can't look God in the eye. Got it. And all this stuff starts fucking floating around him, shit. And eventually, one of the lights takes the form of a beautiful woman. This ghostly, angelic, beautiful woman. And fun fact, this person who played the ghost, who was the model for it, was a secretary who worked at Lucasfilm. They needed to film a sequence where they wanted to personify what the light was. And they asked the secretary if they could use her for the scene. They shot her on a blue screen. They put her in like this very white pancake makeup and got like all these white shawls. And they like made them like blow around in the wind and stuff. But they slowed it down so it looks more ethereal, chat. When they filmed this with a secretary who worked at Lucasfilm. I think it's pretty cool. And then, Belloc's looking, it's like, it is beautiful. And then she turns it on. Mrs. Garnouche. Mrs. Garnouche has returned, chat, and she is pissed. She's like, why the fuck did you open the God box, baby? Now we gotta melt you and explode you. And everyone's like, oh, fucking, we see a Todt go, he starts screaming, and we see Colonel Diedrich going, it's like he's nutting, as someone would say, said earlier, just orgasming. And Belloc's like, and we see these lights, these giant yellow lightning bolts just going inside of the Nazi shed, just going right through them, exploding them, and like right out their assholes and stuff. They're literally shitting out lightning bolts, chat, just irradiating, cooking all their tum-tums, from the inside out. And we see this one guy who's like, whoa, that's fucking cool, where he's so filled with lightning that it's shooting out of his mouth and his eyes. He's going, he's like ragdolling and shit. I fucking love that shit. It's so cool. And then we cut and we see one of the most iconic deaths ever in film, where we cut to a Todt whose face literally starts melting away. And as a kid, this is fucking horrifying. All their deaths look painful. It's like, you do not want to die this way. This is a bad way to go. You like melting? No, thank you. He melts. Diedrich, he melts, but his stuff is sucked. They all die in a particular way. Like, Todt just fucking starts melting. Colonel Diedrich, he gets everything sucked inside of him, and then he starts melting. And then Belloc just goes, he just explodes. His head literally explodes. You see his meat fingers, and all of the Nazis and Todt and Colonel Diedrich and Belloc, they're all turned to dust and meat and stuff, and they're taken up in a tornado in the air, and they're all sucked into the arch. And that's what the sand is. It's humans. It's like, oh shit, that's what it is. And we see the top of the arc. All this stuff is getting sucked inside, and the top is spinning in the air until boom, it shuts itself. It shuts itself, and the storm clouds pass and everything, and the evil has been destroyed. And since God's like, hey, Indy, Mary, you didn't look at me, appreciate that. I'm a very shy boy. God, Yahweh's a very shy boy, chat. So I also destroyed your bonds, so you don't have to worry about that. Don't worry. Thanks a lot. See you later, everybody. And I'll see you in all the other movies. Don't drink from my son's cup. Don't do that, or you got to pick the right one. Don't take it. Don't take the Grail. And I'm going to go hang out with the aliens. Bye-bye. And so at this point, they're free, and then we cut, and they somehow got the Ark out of there, Chad. They contacted the United States government, and Indy is having a meeting with Marcus Brody and also the two G-men, Chad Porkins and Don Fellows. And, you know, Indy's like, listen, you don't understand. Like, the Ark is extremely powerful. He's like, don't worry, Dr. Jones. We have top men working on it right now. And, Marcus Brody's like, but where is the Ark? He's like, don't worry, it's fine. But Indy's like, but who are these people? Who are these people they're looking at? And fucking Porkins says, top men. And then we cut to the steps. This is actually done far later in production, because at this point they had no extra scenes with Marion Ravenwood, but Spielberg realized he wanted to have like an end beat between the two characters, like going on a date, to show that the relationship continues on. Originally, this was filmed this is like the last scene they filmed in the movie, with them, where Marion's like, what happened? He's like, those fools, they don't know what they have. And she's like, fuck it, out of sight, out of mind. How about you want to go get a drink? I have an alcohol problem. He goes, you know what? So do I. And they fucking interlock arms, chat, and they go drink themselves to death. And then we cut. The scene was supposed to happen. It was supposed to go from top men to then the warehouse scene. And then we get one of the best, most kind of ominous endings to a movie, chat. That this worker there, chat, the 1,000-yard stare, pushing the Ark, which has been put into a new box, chat, like down this long hallway, and it expands outward until it's like there are thousands, millions of boxes here, chat. It's like, what the fuck is here? Are these just all these objects of power, these things we don't know? And it's this giant fucking warehouse, a matte painting, but it gives me chills every time I see it, Chad. It's like, oh my God, like top fucking, it's so ominous. It's like, okay, there is, you can only imagine like what's there. And we find out in Indiana Jones, we actually go there. It's Area 51, which I'm like, that's dumb. I mean, it makes sense, but again, how they showed it in that movie was bad. And we see the Ark cameo in Crystal Skull. It's like, yeah, but it's such a great ending. This is a great ending. And we cut, and then bum ba dum ba bum ba da ba ba bum ba bum ba bum ba da bum ba ba bum ba ba bum ba ba bum ba ba bum ba ba. Boom! Raiders of the Lost Ark, my friends, and Jimmy Hoffa's body. There you go, chat. My scene by scene breakdown to one of my favorite films of all time, Raiders of the Lost Ark. Hope you enjoy it, chat. Love that teaser. Yeah, teaser type man is so good. Pat Roach, the giant Nazi, was a pro wrestler. He was with the Giant Temple of Doom. Oh, it's the same guy. I didn't know that. You got to trust Anna Lester. He's the giant Nazi to play. What? I didn't know this. That's awesome. Alec, thank you so much. No, guys, I really do hope you enjoy this review. This is a good one. This is a thick, robust, girthy, well-endowed review. Hi, Strict Juice. Hi. Whoo-wee, chat. But now, my friends, we're going to transition over to some gameplay in a bit. Kind of have a nice little back and forth talk. Great job, GZ. Thank you, Lakota. I'm glad you enjoyed it. No, it's a pleasure to have you be a part of the first review. No, I'm glad. I hope it was a good one. I've done so many other ones. Check out the YouTube channel for some more. They're continuously being uploaded by the great editor, YouTuber extraordinaire, Alex Manal. But chat, I am the big boy was in anime. Oh, who's it? Oh, he was? Yes. I love it. Very much so. Very cool. Classic cinema. No, it's classic fucking cinema, chat. It's so good. Harbone agreed. Stoner, cheers. Salute. Oh, I can't play Nagasaki System for John. Oh, no. Sorry about that. We might play Nagasaki tonight. I'm not sure. We'll see what happens. I game's been having a lot of technical issues, chat. It's been a pain. I love the game. I really like it. I like how it plays, but my God, the technical issues with it are annoying. I do want to take a moment, chat, though, to get another beverage. I am a thirsty boy. So I'm going to go ahead and do it, chat. In the meantime, please entertain yourselves amongst yourselves. I'll be right back. Stick around.